Well, Gaylord Perry looks in now and finds Dave Cash at the plate, right-hand hitting second baseman, followed by Richie Hebner and then Roberto Clemente. Jimmy Hart in on the rug at third, and Perry's first pitch, low and away, ball one. A sinker ball pitcher, I guess he's going to stay down all day, but I wondered about a sinker ball pitcher on AstroTurf. It would seem like that ball is going to find a lot of holes.
That's right.
The 1-0 pitch to Cash, a little low. Ball two, Perry drops his hands, a little bit upset at the call. 2-0 to count to Cash. Has a check with Frank Osiak coaching at third, Don Leppert coaching at first. 1-0 Giants, bottom of the first inning. Bright sunshine now here at Three Rivers Stadium. The 2-0 pitch to Dave Cash. Fastball low, ball three. The Giants really have to be a little uptight, let's face it. For the Pirates, they have a margin of error. There's tomorrow for them, but not for the Giants if they lose. 3-0, the count to Dave Cash. Gaylord into the windup, and the big right-hander delivers a strike. 3-1. He came up with that, too, to get the strike.
Yes, you know, there's a difference in the umpires. We were talking about that the other day, and obviously this umpire is not going to give him that low strike at the knee, so he's going to have to bring it up.
Here's the 3-1 pitch on the way, and he gets another strike around the letters, even though Cash leaned out of the way. So he's brought two pitches up for strike. The first game that Terry worked, the plate umpire, was the next pitcher, Tom Gorman. Full count to Dave Cash. Terry into the windup, and Gaylord delivers, and it's sprayed foul down the right field line out of play. I don't know if this is a crazy question or not. When you are pitching, even before you go out to the mound, do you check to find out who the plate umpire is going to be?
No, I very seldom do that. Once you get out on the mound, you'll see who's back there. Sometimes you'll see a stranger, and you don't even know who he is.
Here's a 3-2 pitch to Cash. On the hands, fouled away. I was wondering whether you'd say, uh-oh, that means I don't get to pitch around the knees today, and then you have to change your whole game plan.
Oh, if you're sitting in a dugout and you look out and you see somebody that you don't like to be back there, you might have a tendency to think that.
Full count to Dave Cash. Terry reading Dick Dietz. Now to the windup, and the 3-2 pitch is fouled away again. If you personally dislike an umpire, I don't know if you do, but if you do, and he was working behind the plate, would it bother you?
No, I don't think so. There's possibly somebody back there that you think gives you a raw deal every time you go out there, but you have to concentrate on trying to get that hitter out, and you don't have time to be worried about who's back behind the plate.
3-2, the count to Dave Cash, opening up the bottom of the first. The Giants leading the Pirates 1-0. Gaylord into the windup, and a 3-2 pitch is laced to center, but coming up is Mays. It lands in front of him. Base hit. He juggles but stays with it, and Cash holds with a line drive single. So a rather ominous beginning for Gaylord Perry. Here's Richie Hebner, who hit one out yesterday to win the game. It sure looked like Hebner hit a good pitch. It wasn't some sloppy hanging curve that he hit yesterday against Marichal, Bob.
I was watching on television on the news reels yesterday, and it was a screwball inside, and I thought it was down about the knees, but I think it was just a little bit higher than that.
Well, we'll see what Perry's going to give him now. With Cash at first, nobody out, 1-0 Giants in the first inning. Hebner whacks it to right down the line, but Barnes comes over, and he has to trap it, and his ball gets by Barnes. Going to third is Cash, holding is Hebner. It'll be a double for Richie Hebner. He lined it into the right field corner. Barnes tried to shoestring it, then had to try and trap the ball, and actually overran it a little. It goes as a double, and so the Pirates, who got out of a big jam in the first inning by surrendering only one run, have got runners at second and third, nobody out. Clemente, Scargill, and Oliver are coming up, and in the bullpen, and it's the earliest you will ever see him warm up, in the first inning, Jerry Johnson, because they're not saving anybody for the dance. The meeting at the mound. Well, what do you do with a guy like Clemente?
This situation, you just have to try to get him out. I wouldn't want to take my chances on trying to pitch around him or make him hit a bad pitch, because you have what I would consider the devil coming up behind him when Willie Stargell, so you have to try to pitch to him.
Well, that's quite a task. Roberto Clemente hitting .341. They have a place to put him if they want to put him. First base is open. Dick Dietz waving his hands down to the infield. The only man up is Jim Hart. He's even with the bag. Everybody else back. Nobody out. The Giants loaded the bases and got one run in the first inning, and the Pirates have come back to have runners at second and third and nobody out. So Clemente, who can kill you with the bat, checks in at the plate. Perry will pitch out of a stretch, I guess to improve his control, and he gets a strike. Will he lose much, do you think, coming from a stretch as opposed to a windup?
No, I don't think so. You might lose your effectiveness because your arms and legs aren't swinging at the hitter. But I know in a lot of cases that I throw a little harder from the stretch than I do winding up.
0-1 the count to Roberto Clemente. Clemente deep in the box, then slightly at the knees and waist. Great right-hand batter, so Perry's in a jam and delivers and gets the outside corner. Strike two. It's $1 million pitch. Of course, one trouble with Clemente, you can get two strikes, but since he swings at almost anything and connects, he's still a problem.
Well, if he throws that pitch in the same spot, low and away, Clemente's got a little zone out there where he just won't even offer at the ball, and it can be a strike. If he can get that there again, he might not even swing at it.
0-2 to Roberto Clemente. Perry hands it aside, reading Dick Dietz. It's a desperate Giant ball club today. The strike two pitch to Roberto Clemente is outside. Ball one, 1-2. The Giants had an error and 3 singles and got only 1 run. Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds struck out, and that was the key to the first inning. Runners unable to advance. And now the Pirates have come back to put runners at second and third, nobody out, and the heart of their lineup up. Clemente, Stargell, and Oliver. So Perry goes to a stretch. 1-2 pitch to Clemente. Just outside. He was trying to hit that sweet spot, all right. 2-2. Well, if you are thinking now, would you dare, figuring Clemente's looking away, to come inside on him?
You know, I was just thinking about that. A lot of times when you stay outside, you stay outside. You can come in and possibly jam the hitter, but I just wouldn't want to take my chances.
2-2 to Roberto Clemente. Perry set, looks at the runner at third. That's Dave Cash. Hebner at second. And Clemente fouls the next one away, and I think he came inside on him.
The ball was in.
Well, I guess there are times desperate measures are needed in desperate situations, and that's where Gaylord Perry is here. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Clemente. A man famed for his country sinker, I would guess he's kind of use it right now.
I think that'd be a good spot for it.
2-2 to Roberto Clemente. Hebner at second, Cash at third, nobody out. Giants got a run, the Pirates trying to get it back, and then some. Perry to his stretch. 2-2 pitch to Roberto Clemente is laced foul off first, way out of play. Well, he went outside about 3 times in a row, then came inside once, and come right back outside again. You're still figuring he's going to come back outside?
Geez, I hope so. You know, one pitch that I probably would just rule out at this point would be a slider. He's leaning out to begin with, and if you throw a slider out there, he could be fooled, but he still has time to adjust on it. If his fastball's out there and he misses it, it's gone.
2-2, the count to Clemente. Here comes Perry, and it's whacked foul down the right field line out of play, and he's staying away with Clemente. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I get a kick, you know. I'm sure people who have been listening to the broadcast for the last few days realize it. If you just tune in, at first you would think that Bob is rooting for the Giants. And then a little later you think, no, he's rooting for Pittsburgh. But I know what you are rooting for the pitcher, whoever it is, right?
Right. I like to see pitchers get the hitters out, regardless of who they're playing for.
I wonder why. 2-2 to Roberto Clemente. Perry at the belt, and Gaylord delivers, and it's a high bouncer over the mound, over second, into center. In comes Cash. Here comes Hebner. The Pirates lead 2-1. We'll pause for station identification. This is the National League Championship Series.
This is Dialogue Radio 57, Strauss Communications, WMCA, New York, the voice of New York.
Our engineer, Marty Bancroft, kept a watch on Roberto Clemente, and he figured that Clemente was at the plate 5 minutes. And just on the 5th minute, he singled up the middle to drive in 2 runs. He had 9 pitches to leadoff man Cash. He made 8 pitches to Clemente. And, of course, Hebner hit the first pitch. Well, here's the hungry hitter, Wilbur Stargell, still looking for numero uno. 2-1, Pirates. Confetti in the air, swirling around the mound. It's a little tough to hit with those stuff blowing around. Perry delivers off speed and away, trying to change on the big guy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be a typical fan, and I'm going to second guess that last pitch. I think I would have come inside.
Okay. Well, Clemente, like he does so often, went up the middle to drive in 2. Perry at the belt. A look at Roberto, and the pitch to Stargell, unintentional foul. He just tried to get out of the way, and the ball hit the bat. So a strike to Stargell. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Giants got a run, and then, rather demoralizing, blew a chance for more and have promptly surrendered 2 to the Pirates. So I would think the Giants are hurting right now. Perry reading signs. Jerry Johnson still throwing in the pen. Stargell pinwheeling that bat around and around. You could sell chances on that thing as to where it's going to stop. The 1-1 pitch, off speed, golf foul outside of first. It looked like from up here, and this is a bad spot, but he might have gone after a bad ball there.
I think so. You know, if you get 2 strikes on Stargell, you can throw him curveballs in the dirt or changeups in the dirt, and he will offer for it a lot of times.
He's a very anxious hitter. He also makes pitchers anxious. He had 48 home runs, 125 RBIs, and finished the year at 295. Perry leans in to Reed Dietz. Clemente, who doesn't do much base running, takes the lead, held on by McCulley. Perry at the belt. Here he comes. Stargell has a look, and it's low. Ball 2. 2-2. So let's see. 8 and 9, 17, and 1 is 18 and 4. Perry has already made 22 pitches in this first inning. I don't know whether he is that tired where the pitches would count at this stage, but it's a tough way to begin. First inning, 2-1 Pittsburgh. Perry, a backward glance at Clemente, and the 2-2 pitch to Stargell is swung on and missed, and he went after a bad one again. Boy, you really have to feel sorry for a guy pressing as much as Stargell is. But, of course, he got the Bucks here in the first place. He doesn't have to apologize to anybody.
That's right. That's something that people fail to realize. A guy who's had a good season all year, and there aren't going to be days that he's just not going to hit, period. And it's unfortunate that it has to be in a playoff or a World Series or something like that, but there are going to be those days.
Here is Al Oliver, the left-hand hitting center fielder. Roberto Clemente at first. So far in this game, Mays, Bonds, and Stargell have struck out. 3 pretty good names, pretty good hitters. And they've gone down. So here's Oliver. Oliver, left-hand hitting center fielder. Hitting .282 during the regular season. He has pretty good stock. He has 14 home runs. Perry at the belt, looks at Clemente and drives him back. Pirates 2, Giants 1, first inning of game number 4. Whether it's the last game or not remains to be seen. Baltimore can get fat. They're just waiting for Saturday. The pitch to Oliver outside. Ball 1, 1-0. Jerry Johnson is pitching a ball game down in the bullpen. He's been throwing right back at Perry. Gaylord, right foot on the rubber, leans in to read a sign. Clemente off first base. Perry has a look over there at Roberto, still checking. The pitch to Oliver is swung on and missed. He really got that thing in and down. That's a good way to pitch him?
Well, inside is good. I don't know that he was particularly trying to get it down, but you definitely have to come inside on this fella. He stands a long ways from the plate, and he goes in well, and any ball from the middle of the plate away, he hits with authority.
1 ball and 1 strike to Al Oliver. Perry to the stretch. Another glance at Clemente, and the 1-1 pitch is fouled away. I would guess you would have to resist the temptation as a pitcher. You look down and a fellow standing far away from the plate, so automatically you're going to pitch the ball away, and that's just what he wants.
Well, you can pitch him away, but you have to make sure that it is off of the plate and it's not a strike. And a lot of times, even though it's not a strike, he will go out there and get it and whack it for a base hit.
1-2 to Al Oliver. 2-1 Pirates, first inning. Clemente standing at first, held on by Willie McCulley. Perry reading Dietz, now Gaylord at the belt. And the 1-2 pitch to Oliver, way inside. Boy, he seemed to commit himself. He was striding into that pitch long before it came up to the plate. Is he an anxious hitter?
Yes, he is. He's susceptible to a change of pace or a slow curveball. if you can get it in the right spot, but that's the name of the game.
Yeah, right. Because he had his right foot off the ground, and he was actually gliding in long before the pitch was made. So even if he hit it, he would have hit it off his front foot. 2-2, the count to Al Oliver. Terry, another glance at Clemente. The pitch to Oliver is lifted to straightaway center. Mays is there. He has the play. Willie waiting and makes the catch, and Clemente halfway goes back to first. 2 down, and there'll be a roar for this guy, Big Bob Robertson, who has hit 4 out of sight coming up. Robertson has 7 hits in this series, 4 home runs and a double. Bob, how do you pitch him?
I try to come up and in on him with hard stuff. I don't like to throw him breaking balls at all, and I don't like to throw him fastballs down and away. Every once in a while you can sneak one up and away, but I wouldn't want to do that too often. So basically, you have to keep the ball inside on him.
Well, boy, they must be making some mistakes on him because he had really been punching holes in the Giants. Bob Robertson, big right-hand hitting first baseman. Terry Ruddy delivers, and the first one a strike. 0-1. Now, that brings up a point. Gaylord Terry's strength is a sinker ball, a low ball, and yet the strength of Robinson, or his weakness, is up and in. Would Terry give up his strength and pitch high and inside?
Oh, yes. I think you have to give up your strength a lot of times. Maybe the other guy's a little stronger than his best point.
Here's the strike one pitch. Breaking ball in the dirt. Pushed up along first base by Dietz, and that keeps the play in front of him, so Clemente anchored at the bag. Giants got a run in the first inning. Henderson was aboard on an error. Fuentes singled him to second, and Mays struck out. McCovey singled Henderson home. Then Bonds struck out. Dietz singled to load the bases, and Hart on a 3-2 pitch might have swung at ball 4 and looped out to Dave Cash. The Pirates, feeling that they had gotten a reprieve, came right back and had Cash single to center. Richie Hebner doubled to right to put runners at second and third, and Clemente singled both men home. Stargell has struck out, so the drought continues for the big guy. He's 0 for 13 and has struck out 6 times in the series. And Al Oliver was at the plate for a while before flying to center. Now Bob Robertson is up there in the count 1-1. It's 2-1 Pittsburgh's first inning. 2 outs. Terry reading Dietz, and Robertson swishing that bat, rolling that right hand, his top hand over as he does it. Terry turns and throws to first, chasing Clemente back. If you're wondering about Clemente with 2 out, he stole only 1 base all year, so the chances are not that good that he would try. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Bob Robertson coming up. On the inside part, and it hit the bat for a foul tip, and the count 1-2. Manny Sanguillen on deck. 2 runs, 3 hits, and an error charged to the Pirates. The error drawn by Dave Cash. The Giants 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors. Terry working a long time in this first inning. Been out there forever. The 1-2 pitch, breaking ball, cued foul, and it hits a pebble and comes back fair. And Terry picks it up and tags him out. Robertson quit on the ball. Bob, how about that? You're supposed to run him out, and the ball hit a little pebble or something. It was foul and came back fair, and Robertson was caught with egg on his face.
That's happened to me on a bunt. I bunted the ball down the first base line. I took about 4 steps, and the ball went outside. I took 2 more steps, and it came back in, and I stopped, and it went back out, and finally it did come back in. The guy tagged me. I was just standing there.
Embarrassing. 2 runs on 3 hits for the Bucks, and at the end of an inning, Pirates 2, Giants 1. We've got an inning in the books here. The Pirates 2 and the Giants 1. As we go to the second inning, shortstop Chris Spire. He'll be followed by Gaylord Terry, and then Kenny Henderson. So Steve Blass, who struck out 2 but gave up 3 hits for a run, suddenly finds himself back out in front. And he goes to work in inning number 2. Steve to the windup and delivers, and the fastball runs inside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. On a day like today, even though it took a long time for Perry to work, you wouldn't think that Blass had any problem with stiffening up or anything, would you, Bob?
Oh, he's going to get a little stiff, but that's why they have the warm-up pitches before. It's not really that cold. In San Francisco, it would probably affect him a little more than here.
1-0 the count at Chris Spire. Blass comes back to the plate, and it's fouled off to the right out of play. It is a nice day again. The clouds have moved away, plenty of blue skies, some puffy white, and bright sunshine. And I would hazard a guess the temperature would be around 70 degrees. So there shouldn't be too much of a problem of a pitcher stiffening up today. 1-1 the count to Chris Spire. Steve Blass back with a pitch that's a strike in the count 1-2. What was that?
You're talking about pitchers getting stiff, and a lot of times a young pitcher won't really realize what that warm-up pitching is for. If you are stiff there, then you should try to pitch just like you do in a regular game situation.
1-2 pitch is drilled to left field. Deep, back goes Stargill to the wall. It's gone. A home run for Chris Spire to tie up the game. So the little men, Tito Fuentes the other day hit a home run, and now Chris Spire, and he gave it a pretty good ride. He hit it over the wall completely, and just like that, it's 2-2. Well, what an up-and-down game.
I'd like to find out what that pitch was so I can be sure not to throw it again. When a little guy hits the ball that far, then you did something wrong.
Boy, he really must have made a mistake. Here's Gaylord Perry, and it's all even at 2 apiece. The Giants 2 runs, 4 hits. Pirates 2 runs, 3 hits and an error. Gaylord Perry, who was down, is now even. Glass, who was up, is now down, and there's a ground ball to shortstop. Hernandez gloves it. Jackie goes across to Robertson. One-handed first baseman. One away, and the batter will be Ken Henderson. He started the game with the ground ball to Cash, and he kicked it for an error, and Kenny scored.
You know that Spire hitting that home run, we know that he can hit home runs. He hit one in St. Louis off of Steve Carlton, who I would consider one of the best left-hand pitchers in the league, so we know he's got power enough to hit it out.
And he did that. That was no cheapie. He bombed it. Here's Kenny Henderson. 2-2 in the second. Henderson batting left-handed. Hebner plays him up inside the bag, and Blass changes, and a line drive into right field, base hit. And I think Blass is lucky to be around. Even that change was a dangerous pitch. He got it up, and Henderson might have hit that thing in the seats. So Blass is not fooling anybody. He's allowed 5 hits in an inning and a third. And down in the bullpen, they've had Bruce Keeson. Now Big Bob Veal is going to start to throw. And the batter is Tito Fuentes. Blass leaning on his left knee, looks into Sanguian. Fuentes with that overly closed stance. Blass turns close to first with 1 out. As we said earlier, Henderson is an excellent base runner, and Kenny is pointing at something. Now the first base umpire, Stello, gestures towards Blass. It's something, I think, that the umpires want to pick up. Let's see. Stello goes beyond the mound. Now he's looking over towards the stand. It might be a photographer. Let's see. There are several photographers there. It's conceivable that the sunlight is glistening, and it's catching Henderson in the eyes, and he felt that on that throw to first base, he really didn't get a jump on the pitcher's move. I think that's what it is. There's a photographer with a big lens, like a 500-millimeter lens down there, and it could be it's glistening in the sun. I saw a World Series game stopped in Brooklyn one year. A lady was actually powdering her nose in the bleachers, and the sun was hitting the mirror, and she was rather embarrassed, but put it away. Here's the pitch now to Fuentes, a ground foul outside of first, 0-1. Remind us, Dave Cash, who was covering yesterday, and if you were with us, Richie Hebner fielded a bunt and threw it away. Hebner later on became a hero. But Cash said before the ballgame he never saw Hebner's throw. So when you're at first base here and the sunshine pouring down on the people, pretty hard to spot anything coming from third or the mound. 0-1 to count to Tito Fuentes. A 2-2 tie, second inning. Blass ready and delivers, and that's lifted to left center, and it could be trouble. Stargill and Oliver, and they look at each other, and it drops between them. And Henderson is at second base, and neither team looks too sharp today, Bob. Oliver and Stargill suddenly stop. Either man could have caught it. Neither man did. And if ever a pitcher needed help, it's Steve Blass, and he didn't get it. So that'll go as a gift single for Tito Fuentes.
You know, even though it's not true, these are the kind of days where the pitcher feels that nobody's trying but him.
Now, I guess you do feel all alone out there. So Cash committed an error to start him off, and he surrendered a run. Now a fly ball that should have been caught drops. 2 on, 1 out, and here is Mays, who struck out swinging in the first inning. He checks on a breaking ball low. Olson shaking his head no, he did not swing. 1 ball, no strikes. Yeah, this is liable to be one of those Pier 6 balls. Pitchers perhaps tired. Everybody a little tired and sloppy, at least at the beginning. And it's 2-2 in the second inning. Blast checks the runners. The 1-0 pitch inside, driving Mays out of there. Ball 2. Was that a purpose pitch?
Possibly could have been. That slider he threw was blowing away, and it seemed that Willie was leaning out over the plate, so I think he wanted to drive him back a little bit.
2-0, the count to Willie Mays. Willie McCovey on deck. Papers swirling around halfway between the plate and the mound. I would think that would really distract the hitter. It's not at eye level, however. It's down at his feet. The 2-0 pitch on the way is a breaking ball lifted into shallow right center. A trio of Pirates, and it's Cash for the catch. And, of course, there's no infield fly rule on that one. The key to the infield fly rule, the words read a reasonable expectancy. And with Dave Cash sprinting out to shallow right center field, they could not employ the rule. So Mays pops out, 2 down, and here's McCovey. Willie singled in the first inning. He had a 2-run home run against Blass at Candlestick. Just to refresh us again, Bob, what do you think Blass will try to do with McCovey? Stay away or jam him?
Well, I don't know what he's going to try to do. If it was me, I would try to come up and in on him. I know that he's got enough strength to hit the ball out of the park, but I still have to go along with the way I've been getting him out in the past, and I have to come up and in and try to jam him.
Mm-hmm, that's right. Come to think, it's crazy for me to ask you what you think he's going to do. It's better just to find out what you do. Blasts at the bell, looks at the runners. Now works McCovey, and there it goes. A high drive to deep right. Clemente goes back to the wall. It's gone. 3-run home run, and the Giants lead 5-2. And Steve Blass is about ready to be carried out. McCovey touching the ball. The pitch was certainly up.
Yeah, but it was away.
Far away. It is 5-2 Giants.
You know, you asked me what I would have done. I think I would have walked him there.
Well, here comes Bobby Bonds, and the walk wouldn't have hurt nearly as much. 2 down, a 4-run second inning, and the Giants leading the Pirates 5-2. Blass ready and works Bonds. That's whacked into left field, and you wonder just how long are they going to go with Blass. Well, there's one key to it. He is due to bat third in the second inning. Danny would just as soon, with 2 out, stay with him to get the last out and then hit for him instead of bringing somebody in and almost having to waste a pitcher. However, a lot of ball games have gone down the drain while you're waiting for a pitcher to get the last out, and this might be one of them. You know, why was Bob Veal throwing? The only left-hander that he could have faced right around now was McCovey. And you just wonder, what in the world was Veal doing down there?
You know, that happens a lot of times, and I can't figure it out. I don't know if they get the guy up to fighting a left-hander or what, but there was no better situation than bring him in there than that.
Yeah, it's very strange. You would think when Veal got up, you'd say to yourself, well, they have Veal up only for one reason, to pitch to McCovey if Blass gets in a jam. And Blass got in a jam, and McCovey came to the plate, and Veal stayed in the bullpen, and McCovey hit the ball out of the park. And it's 5-2 Giants, and the batter is Dick Dietz. Bonds loves to run, and with 2 out, he might try to go, and immediately draws a throw and hops back. Dietz got his first hit in the series, a single to right field in the first inning, so that had to loosen him up a little bit. Bonds stole 26 bases during the regular season. He's liable to go. Blass checks, and the pitch to Dietz over for a strike. 0-1. Well, what a roller coaster ride. The Giants get a run, but blow a chance for a lot. The Pirates revitalize, come back and get 2, and the Giants come right back with 4. Blass, right foot on the rubber, has a look over at Bobby Bonds. The strike 1 pitch on the hands, knocked him down, and a little one-hopper to Cash. Dietz is just getting out of the dirt as Cash lobs the ball to Robertson. Boy, did he come up and in on him. So Dietz is flattened and grounds out second to first, but the damage is long since done. 4 runs, 2 home runs and 2 singles, and at the end of an inning and a half, Giants 5, Pirates 2. Some of the second inning with the Giants again out in front. They're now leading 5-2. Vin Scully along with Bob Gibson from Three River Stadium here in Pittsburgh. And the Pirates trying to come back. We'll have Manny Sanguillen, Jackie Hernandez, and we would assume they'd hit for Blass, who has not gotten anybody out, really. Down in the bullpen, Bruce Keeson, the lean right-hander, is throwing, and Bob Veal has stopped throwing. course, for all we know, Veal got up and just threw on his own.
I don't think so. He got up in kind of a hurry, took his jacket off, and he ran to the mound. So I think he had ideas of throwing him against McCovey, and just for some reason or another, he just didn't.
And, of course, he paid the bill for it. It's 5-2 Giants. And now here's Manny Sanguillen, right-hand hitting catcher. Swings at almost anything around the plate. Perry into the windup and delivers, and he looks low, ball one. Jim Hart on the edge of the rug at third. Giant outfield fanned out just about straight away. 1-0 the count is Sanguillen. Perry fidgety, fussing out there as he looks into Dietz. Gaylord swings into the windup now. The 1-0 pitch to Sanguillen, off speed, and he's way out in front of it. 1-1. The Giants have 5 runs and 8 hits in 2 innings against Steve Blass. It's hard to believe that's the same fellow who struck out 9 in the first game. 1-1 the count to Sanguillen. Perry delivers, and the breaking ball is hit to the hole, and that's through into left field. Oh, it looks like they're going to roll all over the place today.
This looks like one of those days where I don't think I want to pitch. Everybody's hitting the ball. There's 12 hits already, and they're not even finished with the second inning.
Well, here's Jackie Hernandez, the shortstop. Sanguillen at first. Nobody out. Bottom of the second inning, 5-2 Giants. Steve Blass is in the on-deck circle, and Bruce Keeson is still, he has stopped throwing in the bullpen. Hernandez waiting, and Perry looks in for a sign. Jackie, tall, skinny, right-hand batter. Throw to first, driving Sanguillen back. Hernandez hit only .206 during the year. Does not have much power. He had 3 home runs. Hart is looking for a bunt. He plays him up. Perry ready, another check of Sanguillen, and Hernandez has a look and pays a strike for it. 0-1. Giants 5, Pirates 2, second inning. No balls and 1 strike. The count to Jackie Hernandez. Sanguillen held on by McCovey. Perry has a look over at first. Now Gaylord comes back and gets the outside corner for a strike. 0-2. So Hernandez takes a little walk. Five runs, 8 hits for the Giants, including home runs by Chris Spire and the crusher by McCovey, a 3-run home run. 0-2 to Hernandez. Perry at the belt. Gaylord ready, delivers, and just missed outside. 1-2. 1-2 to Jack. He doesn't have power. Why would you keep the ball away from him so much?
I really don't know. I like to pitch him inside.
1-2 the count. Perry ready, delivers, and as a ground ball pulled to shortstop, Spire goes back to second for a play and gets the force, and he almost threw it into right field. It was one-handed by Fuentes, who did an excellent job of staying on the bag long enough. We'll pause now for station identification. This is the National League Championship Series.
The voice of New York.
Bill Mazeroski is coming up to bat for Steve Blass. Maz, the hero of the 1960 Pirate Championship Club. Maz, who was a brilliant second baseman since 1956. And how would you pitch him, Bob?
Mazeroski is a known fastball hitter. I get him out constantly with sliders. All these years he's played, you think that he would be looking for a breaking ball, but he never does. So I throw him one slider after another.
Well, it figures then he will get Perry's slider if he thinks he has one worthy to throw. Gaylord a check of Hernandez, and Maz grounds it into right field. Hernandez had to jump over the ball, so he can only go to second. But the Pirates come back. Runners at first and second, 1 out, and leadoff man Dave Cash coming up.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. Every time I tell him how to pitch a guy and they don't do it, he gets a base hit.
That's right. That's right. So Mazeroski singles to right. Hernandez at second. The Giant bullpen will get busy again. And Dave Cash will check in. So to Mazeroski. Single to right. Hernandez at second. Dave Cash single to center in the first inning. And Jerry Johnson is up again in the Giant bullpen. Bruce Keeson is throwing again in the Pirate bullpen. And these two clubs are trying to wear each other out. We've had a total of 13 hits, and we're only in the second inning. Perry at the belt and delivers. A breaking ball swung on and missed. Cash badly fooled, lost his helmet. Oh, 0-1 to Dave Cash. Hard, about even with the bag. Perry checking Dick Dietz. Hernandez taking liberties with a big lead, trying to make the infield move. The pitch to Dave is popped in the air, foul off third. Doubtful, however. Hart comes over, but only to take a look. It's back in 10 rows. No balls and 2 strikes. The count to Dave Cash. Richie Hebner on deck. 5-2 Giants. Second inning, a wild one. The Giants 5 runs, 8 hits. The Pirates 2 runs, 5 hits. Glass is gone. Perry is wobbly. Dave Cash hit .289 during the regular season. He's a good hitter. Perry reading Dietz and taking a lot of time. Gaylord at the belt. Strike 2 pitch to Cash is butted in the air, foul, so he has struck out. A dangerous play with 2 strikes. Rather surprising maneuver by Cash. Down he goes. He slings his helmet and bat away. And the batter is Richie Hebner. That wouldn't have been a bad play on the first couple of pitches, but it seemed like a desperate gamble with 2 strikes.
I don't like that pitch at all, that play at all, when there's a man in scoring position. With a base hit, he can drive in a run. If he gets the ball down, then it still is a bad play.
Surprising bunt by Dave Cash, and he strikes out. 2 down. Richie Hebner double to right in the first inning. And Hebner is up there now, 2 on, 2 out, 5-2 Giants. It was unnatural yesterday for the writers to jump on Hebner's off-season occupation as a grave digger, because when he hit the 9th inning home run, or the 8th inning home run to beat the Giants yesterday, why, that's exactly the line most of the writers took. He also doubled in the first inning. Now trying to pick somebody up with 2 out. Perry delivers, off speed, swung on and missed. A bluff by Dietz sends Hernandez back to the bag. Bud is playing him out on the grass. In this instance, on the rug.
You know, we talk about players making bad plays, trying to win the game this way or that way, but when you get in a playoff, you do almost anything you possibly can to win, and I think a lot of times the players just think a little bit too much.
Could be all right. 0-1 the count to Hebner. Perry to his stretch, looks at his runners. Strike 1, change, and he got it on the inside part of the plate. 0-2, that was quite a pitch. Perry is not a real fast worker. He doesn't pitch like Bob Gibson, who, as we were kidding him in the first game, pitches like he's double parked. But he's pitching about as slow as I've ever seen him work. 0-2 to Richie Hebner. Hernandez at second, Mazeroski at first. Hernandez runs well, Maz does not. The strike 2 pitch is whacked to right field. Back goes Barnes, away back. It's off the wall and gone. Hebner has just hit the Giants with his shovel. He hit it out over the 385 marker. And we're in the second inning, and it looks like Sesame Street out there. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the scoreboard. The Giants 1 in the first and 4 in the second. The Pirates 2 in the first and 3 in the second. They're all even 5-5, and here's Clemente. What a stagger job this one is, Bob.
This is definitely a bad day to pitch on. I think I'd just soon be sitting in a dugout watching.
Here's Roberto Clemente. Perry delivers a strike outside corner. Both clubs can hit, and I guess suddenly the hitters are really seeing the ball because they have just been hitting shots here. Here's the strike one pitch to Clemente. That's whacked down the right field line, slicing foul, and hits the wall behind the Pirate bullpen. A total of 10 runs and 14 hits, and we're in the second inning. So help me.
Then he's got 2 strikes and no ball. I wonder if this next pitch is going to be a purpose pitch.
Well, let's see now if he does move Clemente around. Bruce Keeson, lanky right-hander, walking in from the Pirate bullpen. Perry reading deep. Gaylord ready in the strike 2 pitch. High and inside. 1-2. The message has been delivered. I don't see Clemente being knocked down much, though.
No, usually you don't knock a hitter down. When he falls down, he knocks himself down.
1-2 pitch is fouled away, and that time Perry tried to go away after coming in on him, so he's playing in and out.
You come up and in on a hitter, and it surprises him. He's looking for the ball away, and at the last minute, it's at his head, and so down he goes, but it's not that you were trying to knock him down.
But there are times when you do.
On occasion.
On occasion, yes. 1-2, the count to Roberto Clemente. Perry ready, and Gaylord's 1-2 sidearmer. Popped in the air, foul. This should carry back into the seats, and it does. That's the first time we've seen Perry sidearm a batter. Does he sidearm many Cardinals?
He does it every once in a while, but Clemente is the type of hitter that will give away on a sidearm pitch, so this is probably the reason why he did it with 2 strikes.
1-2 the count to Roberto Clemente. 5-5 tie. Roberto back up to the plate. Perry has made 55 pitches in only 2 innings. The 1-2 pitch, fastball outside, ball 2. Bob, I know you don't like or care about how many pitches you make, but 55 in 2 innings for a guy who has made as many starts as Perry has made, it's got to tell on him.
Right, exactly. At this late in the season, usually in the 7th and 8th inning, you get a little tired anyway.
The breaking ball is strike 3 called. He cut off the outside corner of the plate, so Clemente is caught looking, but the Bucks have gotten up off the deck. They get 3 runs, 3 hits, big home run by Hebner, and at the end of 2 innings, Giants 5, Pirates 5. Go to the 3rd inning of a 5-5 tie. The Giants 5 runs, 8 hits. They've had homers by Spire and McCovey with 2 aboard. The Pirates 5 runs, 6 hits. They had a home run by Richie Hebner with 2 aboard. Steve Blass is gone, and Bruce Keeson, kind of skinny. He's 6'4" and only 170 pounds. He is 21 years old. He's just a kid. He was called up in the middle of the season. He had won 10 games in the minors. And Keeson, pitching for the Pirates this year, making his first appearance in the series. Keeson was 6-5 with the league. He had 1 shutout. He makes his first pitch to Jim Hart and misses low, ball 1, 1-0. The count to Jim Hart. Keeson ready, slings a fastball on the inside part of the plate for a strike. 1-1. A 5-5 tie in the 3rd inning. This crowd has already been put through the ringer twice. The 1-1 pitch, breaking ball over. Strike 2, 1-2. Well, he's all arms and legs, Bob.
Yes, you know, and he throws sidearm. He reminds me a lot of Drysdale the way he comes off of there.
1-2 the count. Jim Hart waiting. Keeson delivers. Breaking ball. Got him swinging. And down goes Hart. The batter will be Chris Spire, who in the 2nd inning against Blass. Steve worked 2 innings. 5 runs and 8 hits. So worked would be an understatement. And now Keeson picking up for him. A 5-5 tie in the 3rd.
I guess a better word's labored.
Yes, or slaved. It was a bad day. Here's Spire, and Keeson slings that fastball. I would assume a sidearmer, he's got a sinker, the way he throws. 0-1 the count. Bruce ready, and here he comes again in the dirt to the backstop, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
I said he reminded me of Drysdale, but after looking at him, I guess he looks more like Wayne Granger with Cincinnati.
Right. That's the kind of guy. Drysdale was a big man. This fellow's skinny. And Granger is really slim. 1-1 the count is fire. Keeson's 1-1 pitch, sidearmer, grounded foul outside of first, and the count 1-2. Timeout while Clemente retrieves the ball. Vin Scully with Bob Gibson here at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. The Giants and the Pirates are rolling all over the place, and they're all locked up 5-5. Glass is gone, and Perry is here barely. It's been that kind of a day already. Bruce Keeson's 1-2 pitch. Check swing, and the pitch is low. They ask the first base umpire, Stello, and now they growl to the plate umpire. And Stello does not make any sign, which of course means no swing, and the count 2-2. With all that hollering, I'd have bet $1,000 the first base umpire wouldn't overrule the plate umpire then. That'd break his heart. 2-2. Keeson checking, Spire waiting, and a breaking ball is hit to left center, but this one is playable. Oliver signaling that he's got it. He's all alone out there, but he didn't want any trouble. Remember the last fly ball that dropped, and Stargell comes over as if to say, you giving me a message.
There's only a couple guys in the league that could have gotten over there to interfere. Maybe Lou Brock of our team.
That's right. Yeah, Oliver has learned a lesson, boy. He called it. Of course, I think it's a Sandlot thing that has held up right through the big leagues. The center fielder catches anything he can get to, right?
Right. Usually he's the best fielder and the quickest guy out there.
2 down, and here is Gaylord Perry. Big right-hand batter, grounded to short in the second inning. Keeson ready and delivers, and there's a line drive base hit to right field for Perry. So even the pitchers are hitting today. The Giants have 9 hits. And that'll bring up Kenny Henderson. Henderson aboard on an error, and that began the wacky proceedings today. He singled to right on a changeup in the second inning. So Ken is 1 for 2. If you're wondering about time, you can be a 10-year man here today. This game is about, an hour and 15 minutes old or thereabouts, at least. More than that. The pitch to Henderson outside, ball 1. And we're only in the third inning. A 5-5 tie. Perry standing at first. They're not going to hold him. Robertson directly back of him. Ebner is up at third, however. Keeson, hands at his sides, now set. The 1-0 pitch, a change, whack to right. Clemente going back, turns now and makes the catch. I don't know whether Keeson saw the change that blasted through Henderson, but he sure didn't fool him with that change.
Usually a sidearm pitcher won't throw a change up anyway, especially to a left-hand hitter. He can see the ball too well.
It's nice to get away with a mistake once in a while.
I never get away with mistakes.
No runs, 1 hit, a man left. The end of 2.5 innings, a 5-5 tie. Bottom of the third inning, a 5-5 tie. Wilbur Stargell, Al Oliver, and Bob Robertson in that order. Boy, hope burns eternal, and the Pittsburgh people, they are just hoping and hoping for Stargell. He has not done a thing in the series. Stargell does not have a hit in 13 at-bats. And the big left-hand hitter now gets in against Perry in a 5-5 tie. Stargell struck out in the first inning, appeared to go after a bad ball, and he has been pressing, and of course that would only be human. Perry looks into Digby's, outfield deep and around to right. Gaylord delivers, fastball away, ball 1. Stargell heaving a sigh at the plate. There's a lot of sighing going on here in this ballpark. Big day. 1-0 the count to Wilbur. Perry into the windup. Gaylord comes back on the inside part of the plate for a strike, and the count 1-1. We're out and in, and he's even the count. 340 down the line, 385 up the power alleys, and 410 to center. The dimensions of Three River Stadium here in Pittsburgh. 1-1 pitch to Stargell. Breaking ball, hit to right center. Mays hesitated, then came up and made the catch, and Wilbur is still looking for a hit. He's 0 for 14. And the batter is Al Oliver. I can remember one World Series, and of course a fellow's career, it usually pays off. Gil Hodges, now the manager of the New York Mets, and of course a great first baseman for the Brooklyn Dodgers and for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And in the 1953 World Series, or maybe 52, I think maybe it was 52, Gil failed to get a hit. I think he went over 23. But when the Dodgers won their first championship in 55, and they won the final game 2-0, Hodges drove in both runs. But that was the longest series I've ever seen a man take, 0 for 23.
We had the same type of thing with Orlando Cepeda when he was with us in 1968. He took us all the way through the series, and when he got in the series, he tried so hard that he just didn't do anything.
Oliver fouls one away, and the count 0-1, Al. Perry into the windup. Back he comes, and it's inside at the kneecaps, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 to Oliver. A 5-5 tie. The 0 for the Giants in the third looks lonesome out there. It's been a wild game. Giants scored a run in the first. Pirates came back with 2. Giants scored 4 in the second. The Pirates came back with 3. Now we're in the bottom of the third, 5-5. 1-1 pitch to Oliver. Sprayed foul down the left field line, slicing back into the seats. And the count 1-2. I have seen men cry in the locker room. Have you, Bob?
No, I can't really say I have. I would imagine that there has been occasions where a player has cried, but usually he'll go off and go hide in a john.
Mm-hmm. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Al Oliver. Grounded foul outside of first base and down the line. Of course, the classic baseball picture, and it really sums up the toughness of the life, was a picture in 1951 of Ralph Branca stretched out in the visiting clubhouse in the old Polo Grounds after Bobby Thompson's game-winning and pennant-winning home run. That picture really summed it up. 1-2 the count to Al Oliver. He backs out. Oliver making sure he's not quick pitched. Now he's ready. Perry into the windup. 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball. Swung on. Missed and goes to the backstop. Chasing it is deep, and Oliver is going to be aboard. Well, we had almost everything else. That figures. The strange thing, you would figure the pitch that would be swung on, missed, and go to the backstop would be the country sinker. But it looked like a curveball. Just had so much break to it, it crossed up deep. And it's a wild pitch. That's tough to have a wild pitch on a strike. That's happened to me several times. I think what happens, the catcher probably just loses the ball. It's got to be the only thing that happens, unless it hits the ground in front of him and bounces off to the side. Oliver at first with 1 out, a 5-5 tie. Bob Robertson at the plate. If you remember in the first inning, which seemed like yesterday, he hit that little squibber up along first that was fouled and then went fair. Half swing foul right now in the count 0-1.
Looked at to me that Perry is changing his style of pitching now. He's going with a lot of slow curveballs and big breaking sliders.
Would it figure to be by design, or do you think it's a sign that he's tiring?
Possibly that he's getting a little tired. You know, when you have 2 or 3 rough innings, it takes a lot out of you, and he would probably body-wise be in the 6th or 7th inning.
And that's right, too, because we mentioned he must be around 70 pitches now. Strike 1 pitch is fouled away, 0-2. He's a very strong fellow, is Gaylord Perry. And usually, I would think, on a ball club, the fellows with the stamina, the extra strong men, are always the pitchers. 0-2.
Never thought about that.
The reason I say that is it was proven, at least with the Pittsburgh Ball Club, and it got me thinking in that direction. Here's the strike 2 pitch to Bob Robertson. Ground ball back a third, short hop by Jimmy Hart. He goes high and pulls 20. No, Tito stayed on the bag. And And they got a fourth. And the Pirates are going to be all over second base umpire Dave Davidson. Danny Murtaugh goes out to talk to the second base umpire. Jim Hart threw a dead fish over to second. He has a sore arm, a bad shoulder. And he threw a big balloon, and Tito Fuentes was just able to stay on the bag. The folks here don't think so. Two down. Manny Sanguillen will be coming up. To get back about the pitcher, what are you going to say, Bob?
It's really hard being a player and sitting up here. I would imagine you're accustomed to seeing plays day in and day out where it's a little close, but I get so upset when I see plays and I think they should have gone another way. My hands start sweating up here.
There are times when you broadcast that the only way to do it is to bite on a bullet. Here's Sanguillen, and he's asking for time. Holding up his right hand. Perry is ready to pitch, but Sanguillen isn't ready to hit. Now time is in. Robertson at first, 2 out in the third inning, a 5-5 tie. Perry at the belt, checks, delivers, and the pitch outside, ball 1. That could have been a crusher if Hart had thrown it away or pulled Fuentes off. Perry, like any tired pitcher, needs all the help he can get. 1-0 to Sanguillen. Singled in the second inning, not a power hitter, but a good hitter. Hit .319 for the Bucks. Perry's 1-0 pitch, inside, and down he goes like a trout on the end of a hook. He arched his back, twisted, turned, and then went right back on his numbers. Ball 2. 2-0 to Manny Sanguillen. Jackie Hernandez on deck. 5-5, bottom of the third. A delightfully wacky game. There's all kinds of things going on. Now, plate umpire Andy Olson was out to retrieve some papers. The field is littered. And, of course, the papers, as they blow, are constantly distracting the hitters, and I'm sure the umpire as well. There's a little dust devil, as they call them in Arizona, swirling the papers behind home plate. 2-0 the count of Sanguillen. Perry delivers, sinker in the dirt, backhanded by Dietz. Ball 3. So Sanguillen has a look at Osiak. Hernandez, not much of a hitter on deck, and there are 2 outs. Sanguillen loves to swing. You just wonder if they give him the green light 3-0 here. We'll see.
Well, he might swing in 3-0. They got Hernandez coming up behind him.
Perry at the belt. The pitch to Sanguillen. Swung on. Line fouled on the right field line. We ought to shake on that. You know that? 3-1. So Sanguillen fouled it off. 3-1 the count. I remember kidding it. I asked Danny Murtaugh the first game. I said, "Do you have a take sign?" He said, "Yeah, but they don't see it." Well, Sanguillen, I'm sure, didn't want to see it. 3-1. Robertson at first, held on by McCovey. 2 out, third inning, a 5-5 tie. Perry deals inside, ball 4. So 2 on, 2 out. And Jackie Hernandez the batter. And that play at second base gets bigger and bigger in this inning. Down in the Giant bullpen, Jerry Johnson gets up, and he's going to have to start to let out again. Boy, that must take a lot out of a relief pitcher, throwing every inning and still not getting in the game.
Yes, that's right, and especially if you don't really know how to warm up down there. We talked about that the other day. The idea is for you to get loose the first time, and then after that, just to kind of toss the ball until there's a situation where you might be brought into the ball game.
Of course, Johnson's relieved 67 times, so he ought to know. Hernandez foul tips 0-1. He has been a workhorse for the Giants. 0-1 the count to Jackie Hernandez. 2 down, Bucks at first and second, a 5-5 tie. Perry looks in to dig Dietz. Hernandez trying to get the Bucks out in front again. Perry at the belt. Checks his runners. The pitch is fouled away. 0-2. That time, at least, he reversed his plan. The first time Hernandez came up, we were talking about the fact he doesn't have power and Perry was keeping the ball away, but now he just came up and in on him. 0-2 to Jackie. Robertson at second, Sanguin at first. 2 out, third inning, a 5-5 tie. Perry at the belt. Strike 2 pitch on the way, down and away, ball 1.
Watching Hernandez at the plate, he is beginning to pull away from the plate pretty good, so maybe that's the reason that Perry is keeping the ball away from him.
In other words, he's giving, thinking he's going to get it inside.
Yes.
1-2 to Jack. Perry at the belt, looks at Robertson. The 1-2 pitch, swung on and fouled away. This has been a strange inning. Stargell flied to center, but remember, Oliver struck out on a wild pitch and reached first base safely. Robertson hit into a force play that was highly disputed. Then Sanguin walked. The count 1-2 to Jackie Hernandez. Perry taking a long look, and Hernandez backs out, so timeout. 5-5 tie, third inning. A big game for the Pirates and a bigger game for the Giants. The 1-2 pitch is a little number up along third. Perry down to get it. He's going to have to hurry. He can't make a play. Before the hitter comes up, we'll pause for station identification. This is the National League Championship Series.
This is Dialogue Radio 57, Strauss Communications, WNCA, New York, the voice of New York.
Bottom of the third inning, 5-5 tie, and a little nubber by Jackie Hernandez up along the third baseline. Perry tried to make the only play that he had. That would be to barehand the ball and throw. He couldn't afford the luxury of using the glove. And whether he is that tired that he was unable to do it or not, he couldn't make the play. The bases are loaded. Bruce Keeson will be the batter. And out to the mound just to talk to Perry is Charlie Fox. I don't know whether Bruce Keeson is a hitter or not, but we're going to find out in a minute. Bases loaded. That noise in the background was a great big hello. What it was for, they mentioned on the message board the fact that this game and all of the games in the series broadcast on our network to around the world. And Bob and I are honored to have a part in it. And so on the message board they said to all the Pirate fans everywhere around the world, say hello, and they did. Here's Keeson, and he takes a strike. 0-1 the count. 2 out, third inning, a 5-5 tie. Giants 5 runs, 9 hits, and no errors. Pirates 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. Gaylord Perry staggering and staggering, but he's still on his feet. Now the strike 1 pitch to Keeson. Gaylord delivers ground ball to McCovey. He picks it up, brings it to the bag, and Perry has survived another inning. No runs, an infield single, 3 left, and at the end of 3 innings, Giants 5, Pirates 5. Vin Scully, along with Bob Gibson, through 3 innings, and we have taken almost 2 hours to play let's check it, make it about an hour and a half to play the 3 innings. There's been a lot going on. It's far from dull. The Giants 5 runs, 9 hits. Home runs by Chris Spire and a 3-run home run by Willie McCovey. For the Pirates, 5 runs, 7 hits, including a big 3-run home run by Richie Hebner. We've had a strikeout on a wild pitch. We have had an error. We are seeing it all in this series. In fact, if they have to play tomorrow and they come up with another game like this, I don't think the winner will have anything left for the series, Bob.
I don't think I have anything left either.
By the way, that reminds me, if by some strange way the Pirates or the Giants could hire you to pitch tomorrow, could you pitch?
No, I don't think so. Anytime you have 2 or 3 weeks off, adhesions start setting up in your arm, and right now I doubt that I could throw the ball across the infield.
after pitching all year.
Yes.
Here's Tito Fuentes now, and Bruce Keeson starts him away, and it gets off Sengi and Smith to the backstop. Ball 1, 1-0. Fuentes is 2 for 2. So he's a pest with the bat. Tito hit .273 during the year. Hebner plays him in on the rug, and Keeson comes back a little high. Ball 2, 2-0. 5-5 in the 4th inning. Fuentes, Mays, and McCovey. Keeson's 2-0 pitch, slings it in there for a strike, 2-1. Boy, he really extends that right arm. You wonder, I guess he's getting his body into it. Otherwise, he'd wear that arm out.
He didn't have much body to get into it.
To 6'4", 170. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fuentes lays off it, and it's high. Ball 3. 3-1. Tito has a look at John McNamara, coaching at third, Wes Westrom at first. Now the 3-1 pitch. Fastball over. They had handcuffs on Fuentes, taken all away. 3-2. Pirates with Bruce Keeson picking up for starter Steve Blass, and he misses way outside, ball 4. And now the artillery comes up. Mays, McCovey, and Bonds. That is the first walk given to the Giants. That's a bad man to walk. Now he can get hurt.
That's right. You know, with your pitching, one thing you have to remember is to try to keep those little guys off in front of the guys that can hit home runs. I can remember once where I gave up 4 home runs and I won a ball game, but there was nobody on base. And so I won 6-4. But when those little guys get walks and chinks the ball and they hit those home runs, you don't stay very long.
Well, that's where Keeson is in that neighborhood. Big curveball for a strike, and Mays had to bail out on that. That's the best breaking ball Keeson has thrown so far. 0-1 the count. Well, he's in home run neighborhood now. Mays, McCovey, Bonds. Bruce set at the belt, looks at Fuentes. Back he comes. Fastball inside corner. Mays with the foot in the bucket that time. His left foot was so far out. 0-2.
You know, I would hate to be a sidearm pitcher throwing the ball inside the Mays. He bails to begin with, and that's got to be a pitch he can hit.
Strike 2 pitch. Sidearmer just outside. And boy, he was just doing what you were talking about. He set him up and then came away and just missed the corner. 1-2.
When this game's over with, I'm going to be a nervous wreck.
You have no part in it. It is tough, I guess, especially for a player as active as you are, to suddenly have to sit and watch. 1-2 to Willie Mays. Keeson at the belt. And the 1-2 fastball is hit to straightaway center. Al Oliver is right there. Whacks the glove once and makes the catch. Fuentes halfway and holding. And now here comes Willie McCovey. We were talking before about McCovey and pitching him up and in and really getting it in on him. You have a sidearm sinker ball. I guess that's going to be a tough pitch for him, for Keeson to get the ball up and in to McCovey.
Well, in this case, I don't think Keeson's going to be able to come up and in. Just because you're supposed to pitch this guy up and in doesn't mean you can just go up there with a mediocre fastball. You have to really bring it when you're going to go up there.
I love that word. The modern-day ball player, and they talk about somebody who throws hard, and they say, boy, he can really bring it. And McCovey can send it, and he's up there right now. Swings a hard ground ball to Cash. He goes to Hernandez. Back to Robertson. Double play. So McCovey bangs into a double play. The Giants are gone in the 4th, and at the end of 3.5 innings, the Giants 5 and the Pirates 5. Bottom of the 4th inning at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. Vin Scully along with Bob Gibson in a wild 5-5 tie that now has shown signs of settling down. Dave Cash, Richie Hebner, and Roberto Clemente. Some pretty good hitters coming up against Gaylord Perry. Perry has been pitching with a safe on his back, and you just wonder how long he can possibly go. Dick Dietz, when Perry went all the way and beat the Pirates 5-4, Dietz said that Perry is an incredibly strong man. Well, he'll have to be strong if he can keep going today. He has made a lot of pitches, and he has been in a lot of trouble in each of the first 3 innings. And now in the 4th, Cash, Hebner, and Clemente. course, there's one thought about Gaylord Perry being a sinker ball pitcher. Sinker ball pitchers usually pitch better when they're tired. Gaylord benders high and inside ball one. Of course, he doesn't sidearm. He doesn't drag his arm. Do you think that's a true statement, or would you dispute it, Bob?
Well, I think it's true, but I think they're talking about relief pitchers only. See, a relief pitcher's only going to pitch 2 or 3 innings.
Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Low ball 2.
Mm-hmm. But a guy like Gaylord, he's going to be out there for 9 innings, and when he's tired, and there's nothing going to help him.
2-0, the count of Dave Cash. Perry into the windup, and his 2-0 pitch taken for a strike. 2-1. Jim Hart in on the rug at third. Bright sunshine except for the right field corner. Right fielders Clemente and Bonds are in shade. Now the 2-1 pitch coming up. Breaking ball hit off the end of the bat. A dunker. Mays coming in a hurry. It'll drop for a base hit. So Cash is fooled. He hits an off-speed curve off the end of the bat. He gets a bloop single. And Perry is not only tired, he's got to be talking to himself, because when they start getting bloop singles when he fools them after all the hits he has given up, it's got to be discouraging.
You know, we were talking about sinker ball pitchers and starting and relieving pitchers. One thing, when Gaylord first starts the ball game, he's throwing hard and his ball is shrinking. But now, anything off of that, if he gets a little tired, his ball's a little bit slower, then the hitters are used to him a little more so than they would be a relief pitcher coming in with a good sinker ball.
And just to illustrate the point, Perry has made 80 pitches, and we're only in the 4th. Hebner fouls it away, and the count 0-1. Jerry Johnson up again. He's been up 4 times in 4 innings. So you just have to marvel that Perry is still there. The Giants 5 runs, 9 hits. The Pirates 5 runs, 8 hits, and an error. Dave Cash is now 2 for 3 as he takes his lead. Hebner has a double and a 3-run home run, and Perry had really better be careful here. The strike 1 pitch to Ritchie. On the inside corner at the knees. Great pitch to hit. 0-2. Great pitch for Perry to hit that part of the strike zone. 0-2 to Hebner. Ritchie picks up a little trouble and takes a swipe at it. 0-2. Ritchie's last 3 at-bats, home run yesterday, double and 3-run home run today. Strike 2 pitch by Gaylord Perry, high and outside, ball 1, 1-2. Perry has not had an easy inning. Not one. There have been Pirates all over the place in the first 3 innings, and they're trying to make him walk the plank now here in the 4th. 1-2 to Richie Hebner. Left-hand hitting third baseman waiting. Perry, a look at Cash, who goes, and the pitch is fouled back. 1-2.
I think he had it.
So Hebner fouls it off. Cash had a pretty good jump, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure he would have had that. Of course, when the hitter's up there with 2 strikes, he can't afford to take.
1-2 to Ritchie. Nobody out. Bottom of the 4th inning. 5-5 tie. Dietz settling in a crouch. Cash trying to get a jump. He has a good lead. Perry looks in at his hitter. Now looks a backward glance at Cash. Checks him again. Comes to the plate, and Hebner whacks it foul. It was off speed. He tried to time it, and he pulled it too much. So it's still 1-2. I'd like to say hello to some of our stations along the network. A salute of the cap to station WGEE in Indianapolis, KORK in Las Vegas, KLPN in Minot, North Dakota. 1-2 to Hebner. 5-5 in the 4th inning. Cash has cut his lead down by a step right now. Now he's dancing a little. Perry watching him. Still watching. He doesn't go. Hebner drives it to right. Bonds 1 step in, now in his tracks, makes the catch, and holding his Cash. So Hebner is a tough out now, lined out to right. The batter will be Roberto Clemente, followed by Wilbur Stargell. And you know, in this kind of a series, the so-called law of averages. You just start to wonder if Stargell isn't going to get the one that's going to win it all.
That's right. And, when you're out there pitching, and say, for instance, you struck Stargell out 3 times in a row, and he had a hard time getting a hit out, this is going through your mind also. Maybe this will be the time that he's going to break it loose, so you try to be extra careful with him. You make a mistake, and he does break it loose.
That's the power of negative thinking.
Yes.
Here's Clemente. Single, struck out, 1 for 2. We'll see if they play hit and run with this combination. It's a good one. Perry checks, Cash doesn't go, and it's fouled back. Dave looked like he might have gone, but he didn't get the jump he wanted, so he stopped. He went once with Hebner at the plate. And since Clemente can hit the ball anywhere and everywhere, he might be going. The Giant outfield, they give Clemente all of straightaway left field. His base hit went up the middle to drive in 2 runs in the first inning. Mays in right center, and Bonds almost in the corner in right. Cash does not go. Clemente takes a strike outside corner, 0-2. Jerry Johnson, he might be the only pitcher in baseball to be relieved while he's still in the bullpen. Johnson's making as many pitches as Perry. He's stopped now. He's at a stage where he is as ready as he'll ever be as far as warming up. So he's just going to watch Perry. 0-2 the count to Roberto Clemente. Cash has retreated just a little, but he keeps moving his feet like they're hot. And you expect him to take off. Of course, with the count 0-2, if Perry gets a pitch out, well, he might be in trouble. We'll see. Gaylord has a look at Cash, checks him again. He doesn't go, and the pitch is outside, ball 1, 1-2. Roberto wants to see if maybe there's a play on. He has a long look at Frank Osiak. I'm sure when you're pitching, you're always trying to guess hit-and-run situations.
Oh, yeah, you keep those in mind, and you just about know when a guy's going to hit and run.
1-2 the count. Cash off the bag. And this time he has to dive back as Perry comes over there. There might be another sign that Perry's tired. Cash has taken some leads, and that's the only time he's gone over. Maybe he's conserving even that. And maybe, again, I'm reading too much into it. 1-2 the count. McCovey holding the bag on Dave Cash. Clemente waiting at the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Perry checks him. Still checking. There he goes. The pitch is swung on and missed. It was way outside. The throw down, he has stolen it. Fire tried to cut the ball off and then make a diving tag, and he couldn't do it. So Clemente went after a pitch way outside on a hit-and-run spot. He'd have had to have a bat about 8 feet long to hit it. So it was a good pitch to serve up, breaking ball way outside. And now here is Stargell with a chance to drive in a tie-breaking run. Dietz goes out, holds up 4 fingers, and says we don't want any part of it. So the Giants are figuring that maybe the big guys do, and they're not going to let him do it now. So they'll give Stargell the intentional walk and take their chances with Al Oliver. It's only the second walk given up by Perry. So in a moment, the Pirates, who had the bases loaded in the third with 2 out and Keeson grounded out, they'll have 2 on here in the 4th inning of a 5-5 tie.
You know, it's really funny when you intentionally walk a guy and a fan sitting in the stand, they boo you, but the idea of your being there is not to be a nice guy, but beating the other ball club.
You know, another thing I think about intentional walks, it is the one time in the game when you are actually going against your whole upbringing. You are purposely avoiding the strike zone. Does it sometimes present a problem to come right back and throw strikes to the next hitter?
No, it doesn't. You're not pitching at all. You're just tossing the ball, and it has nothing to do with the strike zone or even your timing or control.
Here's Oliver now with 2 on and 2 out. 4th inning, a 5-5 tie. Ollie has flied to center and struck out, 0 for 2. Perry ready, delivers, and it's popped in the air, so he's still got enough left. Out to get it is Spire, waiting, makes the catch, and the Bucks go down, leaving 2 in the 4th inning. So at the end of 4, Giants 5, Pirates 5. Bobby Bonds struck out and singled. Bob is 1 for 2.
You know what's surprising to me in a ball game that's as important as this one is, that you don't see a lot of stealing and taking chances here. Usually in a playoff like this, you would see it.
Keeson delivers on the hands, and it's foul to the plate, 0-1. Of course, maybe sometimes the very importance of the game, I don't mean to use the word intimidate, but sometimes when things are so important, you become cautious.
Yeah, I suppose so, but yeah, I know, for instance, if we were in here and Lou Brock was out there on the bases, he'd be running wild.
Yeah, well, of course, there isn't really a Lou Brock down there, although the Giants do have a couple of fellows who can run pretty well. 0-1 the count. Keeson delivers on the hands, and it's popped in the air. Boy, he hit that thing up the chute. It'll be the shortstop Hernandez dancing under it out in left field and makes the catch. That's what they call a big league pop-up, all right. He sure hit under that. The batter will be Dick Dietz.
You know, you're going to pitch the Bonds inside, and a sidearm sinker baller has got the perfect pitch to get him out with. His ball naturally runs inside, and all you have to do is just shoot it for the inside corner, and it'll miss 3 or 4 inches, and he'll swing at it anyway.
Here's Dick Dietz, who singled and grounded out. His single in the first inning was his first hit of the series, so he's finally out of the starting gate. Keeson delivers, breaking ball for a strike, little slider, in the count 0-1. And the big story here in Pittsburgh, of course, is the fact that they took the bat out of Stargill's hands in the 4th inning by walking him, and Wilbur is still looking for his first hit. The strike 1 pitch, swung on and missed. Same pitch that he took in the count 0-2. Dietz, of course, has a physical problem. He has high blood pressure, and he has to be very careful during the course of a long year. Strike 2 pitch is grounded foul, and of all the players down on the field who really could be tired, really beat, Dietz could be the guy. 0-2.
You know, speaking of Dietz, it's amazing that a catcher can catch 135 or 140 games a year in hot weather. And we had a young kid, Ted Simmons, who was out for, he wasn't out, he was in the Army for about 3 weeks, and he still caught 130-some ball games.
I marvel, too, at a catcher who catches a lot and then hits well. The year that Johnny Bench had last year was truly remarkable for a guy who slaves behind the plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch. High, ball 2, 2-2.
Another thing about the year that Johnny Bench had, everybody wants to know what's wrong with Johnny Bench. There's nothing wrong with him. What they're doing is taking the best year anybody could ever had, and they're drawing comparisons.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of unfair. 2-2 pitch, fastball low. Just missed at the knees. So Keeson pitching all around on Dietz, and he's gone 3-2. Jim Hart on deck. 1 out, 5th inning, a 5-5 tie. Keeson ready, and the 3-2 pitch. Foul back, fastball on the hands.
You know, the old expression is, you're not having a typical Johnny Bench year or a typical Bob Gibson year. Well, those real good years aren't typical.
That must be a little tough when you go in and discuss contracts. And the general manager says to, let's say, to Johnny Bench after this year, well, now, you just, had a bad year. Dietz strikes out, swinging, down he goes.
Well, I think in most cases, the general manager knows enough that he doesn't expect you to have that kind of a year, and if he's a fair general manager at all, he will be fair with you in dealing with your contract, and he certainly should be a little bit wiser than the fans.
And, of course, if he had given you a tremendous raise because of that grade, you'd give him some of the money back. Here's Jim Hart. 2 down in the 5th inning, a 5-5 tie. Keeson delivers, and it's fouled away. Jimmy got it on the foot. I think this is going to be his last appearance in the game anyway. It's a little too close to keep a bad-armed third baseman in there. And down in the bullpen, Alan Gallagher has been playing catch. On the message board, welcome to Radio Continental, Santo Domingo. And among the 3 broadcasters, Manny Mota, who played here in Pittsburgh. He played for the Giants, and, of course, he's been playing for the Dodgers the last couple of years. So see, he's got company up here. 0-1, the count to Jim Hart. Keeson ready, slings a breaking ball low. 1-1.
He's not a pitcher, though. He's an outfielder, and he doesn't know anything about the game like a pitcher does.
1-1. Keeson ready, delivers a change, swung on and missed. 1-2. 5-5 tie. 2 out in the 5th inning. Hard at the plate. Keeson reading Manny Sanguillen. Stargell almost on the track in left field. That's about as deep as you can play. And Keeson takes a walk back of the mound. 1-2. Bruce reading Sanguillen. Now the 1-2 breaking ball is low, ball 2. Andy Olson, left-handed umpire, returns the ball to the mound. The Pirates with Keeson and Sanguillen, an infield of Robertson and Cash, Hernandez and Hebner, with Stargell, Oliver, and Clemente in the outfield. Next one is strike 3 called. And that looked like it was right down the middle of the plate, Bob.
It was a slider, and then probably he wasn't looking for that breaking ball.
He was caught guessing, and down he goes, and let's see. He's going to go anywhere to third base. So Gallagher has stopped throwing in the 10. At the end of 4.5 innings, Giants 5, Pirates 5.
Say, all of you guys.
We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Giants and Pirates, a 5-5 tie. Alan Gallagher, with a glove and a ball but nobody to play with, came walking in from the bullpen. He's now in the Giant dugout. He was throwing, so he assumed he was going to take over for Jim Hart, but he's not in there yet. Bob Robertson, Manny Sanguillen, and Jackie Hernandez. In the Pirate bullpen, Bob Miller begins to loosen up. If they get down to Keeson's spot, they would bat for him. Robertson, very quiet today against Gaylord Perry. Hit a little dribble up along the first baseline. Perry tagged him out, and last time up, he grounded to third, and Hart turned it into a fourth play. Perry into the windup. Gaylord delivers. Fastball fouled off to the right. Big McCovey coming over to the railing. I think he's going to have a play. Leans over and backhands it for the out. So Willie McCovey handles the foul ball from Bob Robertson. 1 away in the 5th. 5-5 tie, and Manny Sanguillen coming up. The first 2 innings, the hitters looked like they were going to dismantle the ballpark. The Giants scored 1 in the first. The Pirates came back with 2. The Giants scored 4 in the second to lead 5-2, and the Pirates came back with 3 to tie it up. But since then, the hitters have been quieted, and we're in the bottom of the 5th inning, 5-5. Sanguillen singled and walked. Manny 1 for 1, right-hand hitting catcher. And as we have pointed out, it's very tough to get ball 4 to him. He's only walked 7 times all year. He breaks his bat, and it's a ground ball to Hard. Jim is up with it, lobs it low, but Big McCovey goes out to get it. So Sanguillen cracks his bat and grounds out. 2 down, and Jackie Hernandez, the batter. Hernandez, from the looks of things, will settle Keeson's future in this game. With Miller throwing in the pen, and with 2 out, you at least have the thought that if Hernandez gets aboard, they're thinking of hitting for Keeson. Let's see. 5-5 tie, 2 down in the 5th inning. Perry needs a quick inning, and that's what he's getting. Robertson fouled out on a pitch. Sanguillen has grounded out on a pitch. So Gaylord hadn't worked at all. He gets a strike. So after slaving for 4 innings, the Pirates suddenly go first ball hitting on him. I don't know, Bob, that doesn't seem smart, but maybe it doesn't mean anything in the dugout. The pitch to Hernandez outside, 1-1. The idea now of swinging at the first pitch against a fellow who should be a little tired.
Well, I don't know that they take that into consideration as much as they do if he's wild and he has a tendency to walk you.
Here's the 1-1 pitch to Hernandez. Low, ball 2, 2-1. Here's a strange thing I don't understand. Now, Hernandez, with the count 2 balls and 1 strike, backs out and looks at Osiak. Now, what would he be looking at him for?
I think that's more eyewash than anything else.
Eyewash, huh? Here's a 2-1 pitch, fouled away, 2-2. There are an awful lot of times during a game where you see a hitter look down at a coach, and you can't imagine what in the world he's looking at. 2 out, bases empty, 3-2, and he looks out, and it's just habit, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's probably a nervous habit more than anything else. He couldn't possibly be getting a sign.
Of course, not a bad idea to fall into that habit of looking for signs all the time. You won't You'll miss too many of them that way. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Jackie Hernandez. In the dirt. A Toulouse-Lautrec trot by Dick Dietz on his knees to bracket ball 3.
You're talking about a bad habit. We have some guys that will back out and look down there and still miss the sign.
Yeah, I guess everybody does that. Are you fined much on your ball club if you miss a sign?
No, not usually. Every once in a while, if it costs the ball game, you might get fined.
Here's a 3-2 pitch to Hernandez. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Down goes Jackie, and that's the easiest and the first time that Perry has had an easy inning, a 1-2-3 inning. And at the end of 5, a 5-5 tie. Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. Vin Scully with Bob Gibson, and we move to the 6th inning, a 5-5 tie. Bruce Keeson, who picked up for Steve Blass after the first 2 innings. So Keeson will be working his 4th inning in relief. He'll face Chris Spire, the Giants' shortstop, then pitcher Gaylord Perry, and Ken Henderson, the leadoff man and left fielder. There was no one throwing in either bullpen, so we go to the 6th, 5 apiece. 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Giants. The Pirates, 5 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error. Here's Chris Spire. He homered and flied to center. Right-hand hitting shortstop, 1 for 2. Spire at the plate, Perry on deck, and Keeson looks into Sanguian. Hebner right at the bag. Fastball for a strike, 0-1. Keeson hiding the ball back of his right leg. Into the windup in the strike 1, breaking ball. Over, strike 2. 0-2. And Spire, unhappy, growls a bit at plate umpire Andy Olson. Of course, he is more than a first-year player now, having survived that bitter pennant race in the National League West and being involved in a championship series. That's a maturing process in a hurry for Chris Spire. Strike 2 pitch, high and tight to get him out of there, 1-2. When did you realize you really belonged in the big leagues, Bob?
I would imagine it was probably 2 years after I was here.
The breaking ball is fouled away, 1-2.
My situation was a little different, though. He came right in. He had a job as shortstop. I relieved a little bit in the bullpen. I just wasn't sure whether I was going to ever be a starter or not. And the first 2 years, it wasn't like being a regular pitcher, so it took me a little longer, probably.
1-2 the count to Chris Spire. Keeson checking into the windup, and the 1-2 breaking ball turned him around. It was up at his left shoulder. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I would guess that there's a rather long period of uncertainty for any kid who comes to the big leagues until he finally realizes, yes, I can play up here. The 2-2 pitch on the fists and popped up. Dave Cash, the second baseman, is there to handle it. I remember a story. I don't know if it's apocryphal or not. It was during a World Series, I think, and Charlie Gehringer was the batter, and Hank Greenberg was in the on-deck circle, and Greenberg said he suddenly found himself hollering, "Get on, Charlie, I'll drive you in." And after hearing his own voice, then he realized that he did belong, that he had confidence in himself. But up until that very moment, he wasn't really sure that he was a big leaguer.
You know, that word confidence you just used, that's the biggest thing. A lot of the guys have ability, but if you don't have confidence in yourself, you're not going to do the job.
Perry takes inside, ball 1, 1-0.
And then by the same token, the only way you can really have confidence is if you go out there and play every day.
The next one grounded foul, and the count 1-1. And I would guess that your confidence has to be shaken if you have a really bad year, especially earlier in your career where you don't have the ability to bounce back and absorb so well.
It also is taken a little bit in your later years if you had a bad year. You just aren't sure in spring training.
Fastball, a broken bat dribbler back to the mound. Keeson picks it up. Boy, he sawed the bat off in Perry's hand. Throws him out. 2 down.
Then that pitch was so far inside, if he hadn't hit it, it would have hit him right in the chest.
So Gaylord Perry, fooled, jammed, breaks his bat and walks back to the dugout. Ken Henderson coming up. Hebner decides to come in and have a few words with his pitcher. Henderson has been given 2 change-ups, one by Steve Blass, and he singled to right. The other change-up, he lined out to Roberto Clemente. So we'll see. Keeson doubtful to throw another change. Fastball popped in the air around the plate. Sanguian holding the mass, now throws it away and makes the catch. So Keeson really put it to the Giants there. He got spun on a little pop-up, broke the bat off Perry's hand, and fastball Henderson out of there on one pitch. And he has now retired the last 8 in a row. At the end of 5 1/2 innings, a 5-5 tie. We're moving to the bottom of the 6th inning. A 5-5 tie. Vin Scully with Bob Gibson. Bruce Keeson is coming up. He has really turned in a great effort for the Bucks.
Yes, and I was wondering if he would have a pinch hitter for him, but I see he didn't have anybody warming up. And when you get a relief pitcher that's coming in the early innings and he does such a terrific job, you kind of hate to take him out.
He was so impressive there, especially the last inning. I guess they just decided, boy, we might as well stay with him. So they are suddenly getting a lift from rather unexpected quarters. Yesterday, they got a great 8 innings from Bob Johnson, and we didn't even figure to see him. And now Bruce Keeson has done a magnificent job after Steve Blass was punched all over the park. And he gets a well-deserved round of applause. He's 21 years old, Bruce Keeson. Bruce, long and lean. He's 6'4", 170, right-hand batter, so he gives you a good strike zone. Perry into the windup. Gaylord delivers, and it's a little popper to McCovey, who crosses the line into foul territory and takes it for the out. So they're again first ball hitting. That'll get Keeson back in the dugout. Here's Dave Cash. Single, struck out, trying to bunt with 2 strikes in the 2nd inning. And then single in the 4th inning. So Cash is 2 for 3. Perry has retired the last 5 in a row, and he has not had to work at all in the sense suddenly the Pirates in the last couple of innings have been first ball swinging to pop up. So now here's Cash. Gaylord has retired the side in order only in the 5th inning. Right-hander delivers and gets a strike. A little slow slider that just about got over it. 0-1 the count to Cash. Perry ready, back he comes. Fastball high, 1-1. What do you think of him, Bob? Do you think he's still got good stuff? Is he still strong enough?
He's still throwing hard, but the big thing about you in the late innings when you get tired is not that you can't throw hard, it's just that you don't get the ball where you want.
1-1 pitch, breaking ball in the dirt, ball 2, 2-1. In other words, when they talk about a pitcher tiring and losing his stuff, they really should say losing his control.
Well, control, and I guess I didn't say that right. You can throw hard, but you usually save it for a certain pitch.
Fastball, whack to right center. That's going to be trouble. Over to get it is Mays. Cash turning and holding, and Willie gets it back in. So a line drive base hit to right center for Dave Cash. Cash, by the way, is 3 for 4 today, and he's enjoying a fine series. Cash in the series has 8 hits. He is 8 for 18. Robertson came into the game with 7 hits, and he's 0 for 3. So Cash is leading the clubs in individual performance with 8 hits. Richie Hebner is at the plate, and guess who is in the Giant bullpen? Of course, the ever-present Jerry Johnson. Cash held on by McCovey. The totals are identical, runs and hits. 5 runs and 9 hits for each side. The Pirates have an error. And here is Hebner, double to right, homered to right, lined out to right. He fouls it away, 0-1. Alan Gallagher, we neglected to point out, is at third base here in the 6th inning. He didn't make it in the 5th, but he came in, and he's finally in there now. What was strange, he did not come in after Hart made the last out in the 5th inning. But he has taken over now. So 1 out, Gallagher at third, Hebner at the plate, Cash at first. Strike 1 pitch. There's a one-hopper knocked down by McCovey in foul ground. He tries to slide and gets his man sliding into the bag. McCovey diving at Hebner, and Richie trying to slide on the inside part of the bag, and Willie got him. So Hebner gave it an all-out effort, a good play by McCovey. And down to second base goes Dave Cash. 2 out. Roberto Clemente will be the batter. And we're waiting for Roberto. Clemente has singled and struck out twice. It should be pointed out in the fourth inning, however, he struck out on a hit-and-run play. He was committed and had to chase a bad ball and struck out. And Roberto taking a lot of time before he comes up. They have a place to put him, but they don't want Stargell, I'm sure. So they're just going to have to pitch hard to Clemente.
You know what's ironic? Whenever you're in trouble, it's always that third and fourth man coming up. I don't know. I think maybe they pull the rest of the guys out of the way and they go up and hit out of turn.
I know the Dodger pitchers must feel that way. It seems like Henry Aaron bats 9 times against them. All right, Clemente with a chance to break the tie. It's 5-5, 2 out. Cash, who runs very well at second base. McCovey just made a good play on a ball that was hard hit by Hebner, who has hit the ball hard every bat. Terry Reddy delivers on the outside corner for a strike, and Clemente is annoyed and unhappy. Clemente and Marichal are the 2 leading hypochondriacs. They always have something wrong with them and always give you a tremendous performance. Clemente back up, 0-1. Terry at the belt, looks at Cash. Terry checks a second time, now to the plate, and there's a ground ball up the middle. Here comes Cash around third. He'll score. Fox going out to the mound, and Roberto Clemente singled up the middle. And while we have a break in the action, we'll pause 30 seconds for this message.
New York City has a rich collection of great architecture. Many of these buildings are designated landmarks and may be near where you live. I'm Paul Parker for the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission, inviting you to get a free guide to all the city's landmarks at the Visitors Bureau, 90 East 42nd Street in Manhattan.
We're in the bottom of the 6th inning at Three River Stadium, and that will be all for Gaylord Perry. He certainly went as far as he could go, but the single by Cash, the ground ball got him over to second, and with 2 out, Roberto Clemente slashed a single up the middle. So Clemente has driven in 3 of the 6 runs. Hebner has the other 3. And a downcast Giant club will see their stopper go out. And their ace relief man coming in behind. And Gaylord Perry, head down, going out. He's got to be beat physically and emotionally right now, Bob, huh?
I think so. He did a terrific job considering the first couple of innings. He gave up runs and he threw a lot of pitches. But after he settled down, he pitched a pretty good ball game. I know he feels good about that, but he doesn't feel good when he's got to come out of the ball game and they're behind.
And they are 6-5 Pittsburgh here in the 6th inning. And Jerry Johnson, who relieved 67 times in the regular season, will be brought in. Perry, in 5 2/3 innings, made 115 pitches. He couldn't have kept that up. I don't believe he'd go on to the 200 mark had he done so. But the big thing, he stayed even, and then finally had to come out behind in the 6th inning. The Pirates found themselves on the horns of that well-known dilemma because the tie-breaking run was at second with 2 out. But if you don't pitch to Clemente, then you have to look at Stargell. And they decided to pitch to Clemente, and Roberto singled in the run. So it's 6-5 Pirates. Bottom of the 6th inning. Tell me about Jerry Johnson in the Eastern Division. I guess you didn't see too much of him.
Well, no, we didn't see much of him, but Jerry was on our ball club,
right.
If you remember, a couple of years ago. He throws real hard. One of the best fastballs in the league. He's got a hard slider, and he wasn't known as a control pitcher when he was with us, but since he's gone to the Giants, he's acquired tremendous control, and he's probably one of the best right-handed relief pitchers in the league.
And yet I was going to say he is not ideally suited to be a relief pitcher. He is an extremely high-strung fella. He gets very excited.
I know one thing, he should be a little tired by now. He's got 6 good innings in down in the bullpen.
That's right. He's not really coming into the game. He's been in it since the very first inning. And now Jerry Johnson will be pitching to Wilbur Stargell. Stargell does not have a hit in 14 at-bats. He got aboard in the fourth inning on a walk when they put him on, but that's all. Johnson delivers, and it's popped in the air, foul, back of the plate. Leach coming back to the screen, no play. 0-1 the count. Tito Fuentes is playing a shallow right field. McCovey holding the bag on Clemente. Spire has overshifted to his left to fill up the middle. Gallagher very wide of the bag at third, almost in the hole at shortstop, and the outfield very deep and fanned out. 6-5 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the sixth, 2 out. Jerry Johnson trying to get the last out in the sixth inning. Jerry turns, throws to first. Clemente hops back. When the Giants hit in the seventh, they have Fuentes, Mays, and McCovey. So they're not out of this thing by any means. Here's the strike one pitch to Wilbur Stargell. Fastball away, gets away from deep. Clemente a late start and now goes into second easily. There's a big play. Well, do you think they'll take the bat out of his hands again now that has been charged? A fastball? Yep. So they're going to put a little more heat on Al Oliver. Once in a while, I guess, a bad break turns out to be a good one, and at least Stargell can't hurt him now.
That's right.
So the crowd doesn't like it, but they're going to put Wilbur aboard.
If you're going to get beat in this situation, of course, they're already behind, but I would rather have Al Oliver up there at the plate than Willie Stargell.
Well, Oliver will be up there in a minute. So far, Oliver has not given Perry any trouble. What he does with Johnson might be another story. He came up with a runner at first in the first inning and flied to shallow center. He came up in the third inning and struck out. He came up with runners at first and second and popped up. So Oliver has not had a hit, and 2 of his 3 trips, he has been up there with a chance to hurt the Giants. So here he is again. 2 on, 2 out, 6th inning, 6-5 Pirates. Johnson's fastball very high, one-handed by Dick Dietz. Ball 1. Talking before about Jerry being not ideally suited. He is not cold and calm by any means. He's highly excitable. But as Bob pointed out, he can throw hard, and he wants to play. The 1-0 pitch, Oliver takes low, ball 2. There were a couple of very damaging balks that were charged to Johnson the last week of the season. And in a giant Dodger melee, he lost his head and charged and really wanted to go after the plate umpire. And 5 Giants tackled him. Otherwise, he might have blown his career. He might have made the biggest tragic mistake of his life. So fortunately, he's here. The 2-0 pitch, Ollie swings, fouls it back out of play, 2-1. Jerry does not bring his hands into his body in a stretch. That's a different move of his.
Yes, it is, and it's really difficult for the umpires to decide when he's come to a complete stop or not.
I wonder, I didn't see either of the balks in the late weeks of the pennant race, but I just wonder if the balks weren't called on him because of that rather unorthodox set position of his.
We came together a second ago, and I thought he balked then.
2-1 the count. Johnson, hands together at his nose, holds him out in front of his chest, brings it in for a split second, and Oliver hits a high drive to deep right field. Back goes Barnes. He's gone. Broken it wide open with a bomb into the right field seats. And the Pirates have scored 4 times and lead the Giants 9-5. The breaking ball in the dirt to Bob Robertson, ball 1. So it's so funny and strange. The pass ball took Stargell away from the plate. They put him on, and the out man, Oliver, lowered the boom. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Robertson, swung on and missed. Of the 9 runs, 7 of the 9 runs are charged to Gaylord Perry. The walk to Stargell belonged to Johnson. And, of course, Oliver's home runs. He's charged with 2. The Giants have got to be really crushed right now.
Yeah, I believe so.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball in the dirt, bounces away from deep. 2-1 to count.
I think I would really have pitched to Stargell.
Yeah, now. 2-1 to count. One thing, Stargell could not have hurt as much as Oliver. The best he had was a 2-run home run.
Yeah, but if he had to do it again, I still would want to pitch to Oliver.
And how? Here's a 2-1 pitch to Bob Robertson. Breaking ball fouled away, 2-2. Let's just check the numbers for Jerry Johnson. During the course of the regular season, he allowed 9 home runs in 110 innings. But boy, he just served up a dandy. 9-5 Pittsburgh. 6th inning and the 2-2 pitch to Robertson in the dirt. Ball 3.
You know, that's a lot of home runs for just 100 innings.
That's right. And for a relief pitcher, he can really kill it. So a 6-5 Pirate game has turned into a 9-5 Pirate lead. Remember, the Giants led 5-2 at the end of an inning and a half. Full count to Bob Robertson. Johnson to the windup. Jerry delivers, fastball, slice, foul down the right field line into the Pirate bullpen. Well, the Bucs are almost there. There, of course, would be Baltimore on Saturday. The Giants have 9 outs left. And it's 9-5 Pittsburgh in the 6th. Jerry Johnson ready in the full count pitch. Whack foul the other way into the seats down the left field line. 3-2. I'll tell you, if the Giants can come back today down 9-5, it would really be remarkable because I would think that they are flat out. They have used the best they had in Perry. They have relieved with the best they have, and now they're really in trouble. The pitch is strike 3 called, and Robertson is furious, but he better get away from there. This is no time to be chased out, and Dave Cash pushes him away. Robertson was going to first base and is called out on strike. 3 runs. Plus the other run that came in on Clemente's single for a total of 4 runs in the inning. They finally restrained Robertson and got him away. So 4 runs on 3 hits. And at the end of 6, Pirates 9, Giants 5. As we go to the 7th inning, Vin Scully with Bob Gibson on what might very well be the last game of the National League Championship Series. The Bucs have won 2 out of 3. They are leading the Giants 9-5 in the 7th. The Giants will have Tito Fuentes, Willie Mays, and Willie McCovey. In the Pirate bullpen, left-handed Bob Veal and right-hander Bob Miller has been up, but now it's Dave Justy. So Justy and Veal in the Pirate pen. Bruce Keeson came in to pitch the 3rd inning. So he has done a great job. The pitch to Tito outside. Ball 1, 1-0. Tito has singled twice and walked. Keeson, in 4 innings, has allowed 1 hit. And oddly enough, a single by Gaylord Perry. He gets a strike, and the count 1-1. Hebner up inside the bag, and sidearm sinker is over. Strike 2, 1-2. This crowd, of course, starting to build, hopefully, for their celebration. So everything right for them gets a roar. 1-2 to Fuentes. Outfield straight away on Tito. Keeson ready and delivers outside. Ball 2. The Pirates have Bruce Keeson and Manny Sanguillem. An infield of Bob Robertson and Dave Cash, Jackie Hernandez, and Richie Hebner. And in the outfield, it's Stargell, Oliver, who's the big man, and Clemente. The 2-2 pitch, change curve, and he dunked it to left. Stargell, one-hand hit. We are changing Cy Young Award winners. That's what kind of a booth we have going here. Bob Gibson just took a break, and so with us is Sandy Koufax, and it's great to see you, Sandy.
Really, it's great to see you. I'm just thinking, Bob's been kidding me for 5 years. Every time I see him working for NBC, he says, you need an assistant. Now he's over there. He's got my job.
You know, he's done a wonderful job for us, and I'm very happy for him, and I'm sure for the folks listening, because, among other things, he no-hitted Pittsburgh in August. The Giants haven't beaten him since '68, and he is not afraid to express an opinion.
No, he's not. And I'd say he's an incredible athlete, an incredible pitcher, and it was a privilege for me to have to pitch against him and then get a chance to watch him later on in those 5 years.
Sandy, has the series worked out basically the way you kind of guessed? Did you figure Pittsburgh to beat the Giants, or did you think of the other way around?
Well, when it first started, I thought if the Giants could win 2 in San Francisco, I thought they'd possibly win it in 3, or if not 3-4, because they had Marichal and Gaylord Perry to come back with. Juan pitched a great ball game yesterday. You hold the Pirates to 2 runs, you figure you've got a chance to win. They've been having pitching problems all year, but as it turned out, Bob Johnson pitched a fine ball game and beat Juan yesterday, and Gaylord Perry just looked terribly tired today. He stayed in there. He battled. He threw over, 100 pitches in the 5 innings.
Fly ball to Stargell. Wilbur right there to handle it. In fact, he almost went to his left knee. That ball started to sink on him. So Mays flies out, 2 down, and big Willie McCovey, and I'm sure he is aching in spirit right now. His body, of course, hasn't quit hurting all year. He has given the Giants a great season, but it looks like they're going to come up short.
I think so, Vin, and watching the Pirates, it proves the same thing. If you pitch well, you make good pitches, you'll get anybody out. But if you make a mistake, the good hitters will hit it. And Perry looked today like he just didn't have as good control. There were too many pitches in the middle of the plate, and as a result, there were too many long balls.
And, of course, Steve Blass didn't have much, but this fella, Bruce Keeson, virtually unknown certainly throughout the country, has turned in a sensational performance.
Yes, he has. I know you've seen more of him than I have, because I saw a ball game that you did where he pitched against the Dodgers and pitched a great ball game.
Right. He keeps the ball down, and McCovey has just grounded one into right center, but if you keep the ball in the ballpark against McCovey, you've done pretty well. So a 2-out single by Stretch will bring up Bobby Bonds. Yeah, he has made some great pitches at the plate, and you were talking about Perry before. He made 115 pitches. He made close to 60 pitches in the first 2 innings, and he had over 80 pitches by the middle of the 3rd inning, and you knew there was no way he could make it.
That's right. That's a terrible strain. Those are all pressure pitches also. You can throw a lot of pitches if there's nobody on base, but when you've got runners in scoring position, you don't throw those pitches without working very hard on every one, and it's a tough day for Gaylord.
Bonds takes outside ball 1. It made me think of a tired, arm-weary Sandy Koufax dragging himself through 9 innings in 1966. There's a wild pitch sending McCovey to second in old Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. I bet that was one of the longest days of your life.
Well, I think so, Vin. We were in there, and we had a doubleheader with the Phillies. It was the last day of the season. We had to win one, and I was hoping we'd win the first one, and we didn't, and I had to pitch with 2 days rest, and it was a long day, and to be honest, I knew that was going to be the last season I was going to pitch, and I think I wanted that ball game more than I've ever wanted any other game in my whole career.
Sandy, do you remember the score of that game?
I'll tell you the truth, I didn't remember it then.
I bet, I'll bet.
Because I lost track. I think it was 6-3. I lost track of it during the ball game. I thought it was 5-3 and got very worried. I thought I had the tying run at the plate in the 9th inning, and as it turned out, I had a 1-run cushion.
Bobby Bonds fouled it away. We're visiting with Sandy Koufax. We have Switch Cy Young Award winners. Bob Gibson is visiting with the good folks at NBC, and Sandy is nice enough to come on over here and sit with us. Yeah, that was quite a day. I can remember you with your beard, and you looked exhausted. Just somewhat to tell you the truth, did you see Gaylord Perry before the game with his beard?
Yes, I did.
And there was a lot of gray in it, and it made him look so old.
Well, mine at that time didn't have as much gray as Gaylord's. It does now.
You brought up to him. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Bobby Bonds. It's 9-5 Pirates. Sinker inside. Ball 3, 3-1. He has done an excellent job on Bonds. He got him to pop up in the 5th inning, trying to crowd him in on the hands. 2 down. Keeson has allowed 2 singles, and that's all. The 3-1 pitch, Bobby takes ball 4. So Keeson could start to tire now, and they have, among others in the bullpen, the ace was throwing a few minutes ago, and that would be Dave Justy. And Bill Verdon is going out to the mound, so let's see. Bruce Keeson gave up a 2-out single to Gaylord Perry in the 3rd inning. He did not allow another base hit until 2 out in the 7th. So apparently he's long and he's skinny and he's starting to get tired. He's 6'4". He's listed at 170, but he might have lost a couple of pounds along the way. And coming in out of the pen will be the best they have, Dave Justy. So while we have a break in the action, we'll pause 30 seconds for this message. Sandy Koufax, that's a great way for a kid to break in. He's only 21. He came up in the middle of the season, and he turns in a brilliant 4 2/3 innings in a national championship game.
Then there's just no telling how much that could help him next season. You go out next year, the season starts, you're a long way from thinking about pennants, but you've been in as much pressure as you're going to be in for another 6 months. So there won't be that kind of pressure until the playoffs again.
In fact, the Giants will also be beneficiaries of the pressure. A kid like Chris Spire, who's played all year, was in a terrible pennant race with the Dodgers, finally made it that far. Now he's in this, and he's certainly more than held his end up.
Very definitely. Then Spire had a fine start to the season, then had a little bit of a problem during the year, and if he had continued that way, it might have hurt him a little bit, but he came along in the playoffs and has had a couple of good days, a couple of hits against Glass in the first one that the Giants won, and the home run today, so that helps.
I asked Bob this question, and he said 2 years, so I'll ask you the question, too. When did you think you were a big leaguer, that you belonged in the big league? How long did it take?
It took quite a while. Bob had better years after 2 years than I did. It took me probably until, I think, 1961.
Now, you pitched in the 59 World Series, lost a bitter game 1-0. Was that a turning point for you?
I thought it was. Then I had a terrible year in 1960. I had the worst one I'd ever had.
Well, the Giants are scrapping. They're far from being dead. It's 9-5 Pittsburgh, but now with 2 out and 2 on, Dick Dietz is at the plate. He is single grounded out and struck out. And Dave Justy trying to get him and end it. And the first pitch is low, ball 1. Now, thanks to Sandy Koufax. So we've had the left-hander and the right-hander, Cy Young Award winners both, Sandy Koufax and Bob Gibson. Dietz 1 for 3. A big spot now for the Giants in the 7th as they try to get back in the game. Justy delivers and gets the edge for a strike. And the count 1-1. And now Dietz is angry at Olson. So the plate umpire is getting it from everybody now. And Dietz has still not had enough. Clemente was angry before. Robertson had to be restrained. And now Dietz is popping off, waving his hands at the plate umpire. And Alan Gallagher walks over as if to say, "Hey, Dick, cool it, babe. We got something going here." 2 out. 1-1 the count. So Justy head down, just kicking at the rubber, and Dietz trying to pull himself together. He was furious. Dick pounds the bat on the outside corner as if to make his point. And now checks in. 1-1 the count of the right-hand hitting catcher, Dick Dietz. McCovey at second naturally does not run well. Bonds at first does, but he has nowhere to run. 1-1 pitch to Dietz. Swung on and missed strike 2, 1-2. When you see a batter get angry, Bob, you almost want to make him go after a bad ball, figuring he's so blind with rage he'll swing at it.
Usually he will swing at a bad pitch.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Dietz. Breaking ball, got him looking, and he throws the bat away. So Dick Dietz is called out on strike, and the Giants have lost a big opportunity. Dick turns, looks at Olson, who is not going to look at him, and the inning is over. No runs, a hit, 2 left. At the end of 6.5, Pirates 9, Giants 5. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Pirates leading the Giants 9-5. And on the message board in center field, it tells it all. Not the line score. It says simply, World Series tickets on sale now. Main lobby behind home plate. And the Giants are reading it as well as we are. The Pirates 9 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error. The Giants 5 runs, 10 hits, and no errors. Manny Sanguian, Jackie Hernandez, and Dave Justy. Jerry Johnson, the pitching to Sanguian, singled, walked, and grounded out. 1 for 2. So now the Giants have 6 outs left, and the Pirates are 6 outs away from Baltimore. Johnson ready, delivers high. Ball 1, 1-0. Baltimore just makes it a habit of winning 3 in a row. They don't mess around in these championship series, Bob.
Baltimore is a terrific ball club. Great defense and good hitting.
Fastball is low, ball 2, 2-0.
When you beat that ball club, you have to go out there and beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
I don't know if the Pirates have enough pitching to contend with Baltimore. Way back when, it seemed like the Giants might beat them in a short series, strictly with Marichal and Perry. But how about the Pirates?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how strong their bullpen is going to be. You don't worry too much about your starter. If they can give you 4 or 5 good innings, then that's the only thing that you really hope for. And they do have a strong bullpen.
3-0 the count to Manny Sanguillen. Johnson into the windup, and the 3-0 pitch, a strike, 3-1. Of course, there's one problem when you work in one league. You're really talking about the other league. It's like talking about Europe. I mean, we just don't see them.
That's right. You know very little about them except for the scouting reports, and half the time those things aren't very accurate.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Sanguillen, foul back, 3-2. In a scouting report, do you think that the scouting reports are that important, or do you have to find out things for yourself?
Well, the reason I don't like scouting reports is that you have 4 different pitches, and each one of these guys throw a little differently. If I come up and in, doesn't mean that everybody can.
The pitch to Sanguillen is grounded to shortstop. Spire fires across to McCovey for an out. 1 away.
I think the thing that they're used for basically is, well, you're going to pitch your own ball game anyway. If you get into a situation where you need an out pitch, you need a double play, then perhaps you will go to the scouting report. They say, throw this guy up and in. But if the first 2 or 3 times I've had success getting him out low and away, then I would doubt that I'd go up and in.
Here's Jackie Hernandez with 1 out, 7th inning. Pirates 9, Giants 5. Jerry Johnson picking up the pieces for Gaylord Perry. The pitch is strike, 0-1. Johnson charged with 2 runs. He came in, gave up the 4 balls to Scargill, and then the 3-run home run to Oliver. Here's the strike 1 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 2, 0-2. Home runs have told the story today. Chris Spire hit 1. McCovey hit 1 with 2 aboard. Hebner hit 1 with 2 aboard. Oliver with 2 aboard. We've had 4 home runs in the game, and the Bucks are leading 9-5. Hernandez waiting. 0-2 the count to Jackie. Jerry Johnson delivers, and he's low with a breaking ball. 1-2. For the Giants, it appeared as if the ball game went out the window on Oliver's home run, but it took an awful lot of baseball to get here. But Oliver's home run appeared to blow out all the candles for Gaylord Perry. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Hernandez. Half swing, strike 3, and down he goes. So 2 out in the 7th inning. Jackie is still at the plate, discussing things with Andy Olson. He's gone, and here comes Dave Justy. Justy getting a round of applause. He came in to strike out Dick Dietz and put out the fire in the 7th. You know, the Giants had 2 bad first innings, and it might very well have been that they lost this championship series on blown opportunities. Here's the pitch to Justy, outside, ball 1. Sunday at Candlestick, they had already beaten the Pirates once. In the bottom of the first inning, they had the bases loaded. They had 1 run over, and Dick Dietz struck out, and that's all they got. And they went on to lose that game. If they had scored a couple, I think the Pirates would have felt they could never win in Candlestick and probably would have lost the second one. And Marichal might then have clinched it yesterday. But they didn't get any more than 1 run in the first inning, and they lost Sunday. And today, if you remember way back in the first inning, an error, 3 singles, and an error, but only 1 run. Because Mays and Bonds struck out, and then with the bases loaded, 3-2 to Jim Hart, he popped out to Dave Cash. There's the strike to Justy. So it could be not just the fact that the Pirates cashed in, but the fact that the Giants did not make much of the big opportunities they had. And that's a tough thing to live with all winter, isn't it, Bob?
That's right.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Justy, low, ball 2.
That's the same reason why we ended up in second place instead of first place.
Mm-hmm. get the chance and just can't do it. And, of course, the Giants earlier in the year seemed to cash in every opportunity, so maybe they used them all up then. The 2-2 pitch is lifted to center field. Mays is there, hits the glove once, makes the catch for the out. So the Bucks are gone in the 7th at the end of 7. Pirates 9, Giants 5.
Hey, Harry.
Yeah?
Can I talk to you for a minute?
Oh, sure, Bernie. What is it?
No.
We're going to the 8th inning, and for the Giants, they're running out of time. It's 9-5 Pittsburgh. Vin Scully along with Bob Gibson visiting with you from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Alan Gallagher, Chris Spire, and a hitter for Johnson. That will be the Giants' schedule in the 8th. And remember, Hart started the game. Now, here's Gallagher hitting in his place after Allen took over at third base. Don McMahon is going in the Giant bullpen. Gallagher was lifted from the starting lineup. He was struggling for base hits, so Hart played. And Jimmy went 0 for 3, striking out 2 of the 3 times. So the Giants looking for help, and they couldn't get it. Gallagher hit .277 during the regular season. However, he's 1 for 9 in the championship series. So Gallagher coming up. Dave Justy picking up for Bruce Keeson, who figures to be the pitcher of record. 21-year-old Bruce Keeson will sure get his name in the papers if Justy gets him out. Bruce, during the year, was 6-5. And he really has been the big story because he just stopped the Giants cold. Justy delivers, and the fastball is outside, ball 1. The Giants at one stage led 5-2. And they're going to have to think about that all winter. Justy to the windup, and the 1-0 pitch to Gallagher. A strike at the corner, and that's the pitch all the hitters are grumbling about. 1-1. To the delight of the pitchers, Bob.
I love it. You know, that's the widest plate I've seen in 2 years.
The plate's always wide when you're not pitching, I'm sure. 1-1, the count to Gallagher. Justy into the windup. The 1-1 pitch is a bouncer back to Dave, and he just lobs it to Robertson, 1 away. That brings up a point. If you are pitching a very tough ball game, do you think about this? If I argue with the plate umpire while I am hitting, maybe it will have an adverse effect on him when I am pitching. Or do you even think about that?
No, I don't think that it really matters that much when you're hitting. If you argue with him out there on the mound, he has a tendency to squeeze you a little bit. But when you're hitting, they don't usually think a pitcher's very much of a hitter anyway, so they just kind of ignore you.
What about your catcher? Do you ever tell your catcher, hey, stop chewing at him?
Oh, no, our catcher doesn't say much anyway.
Oh. Spire fouls a pitch away. 0-1 the count.
I think a lot of times if the catcher will say something to umpire when he misses 1 or 2, that he may even turn around and give you a pitch, or at least it'll make him bear down a little more.
0-1 the count is Spire. Chris backs out for a moment, trying to stab at a little piece of paper with his bat. He homered, fly to center, and popped up. The young shortstop 1 for 3. Justy into the windup, and the strike 1 pitch. He bounced it in front of the plate. It goes to the screen, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Justy is quite a pitcher.
I wish we had him again. You know, it's funny. You can stop and think about the times when a certain ball player has come through the organization, but he wasn't that type of a ball player when he was with you.
1-1 pitch. Might have been that flip pitch with a palm ball for a strike, and the count 1 and 2. Oh, especially pitchers who can change overnight.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you are traded away from the ball club, it gives you a little added incentive to do a little bit better, and actually you're a better ball player now that you're on another club.
1 and 2 the count to Chris Spire. Justy into the windup. Dave delivers, and there's a ground ball hit off the end of the bat to short. Hernandez throws in the dirt, and it gets by Robertson. Spire doesn't stop, and he keeps on going to second. So Chris Spire goes all the way to second base. That'll be a throwing error charge to Jackie Hernandez. And a runner at second with 1 out. And Dave Kingman is coming up at the plate to hit for Jerry Johnson. So the Giants, who did not do anything from the 3rd through the 6th, had 2 on with 2 out in the 7th, get a man on with 1 out in the 8th, and Robertson, I think, stuck his thumb in that low throw. Tony Barterome out there to see if he's okay. Tony, of course, was a first baseman here with Pittsburgh. Now they're trainers.
That's been about the fourth or fifth time I've seen Hernandez throw the ball in the dirt to first base. It appears that when he goes off to his right just a little bit, that he doesn't have quite the arm to get it over there.
And they have a pretty good shortstop on the bench in Gene Alley, but he's got a bad knee. And they can afford the luxury of a mistake or two right now, leading by 4 runs. And here is Dave Kingman. Kingman, big right-hand batter. He had 6 home runs playing briefly for the Giants in the regular season at 278. Justy delivers and gets a strike, 0-1. Did Dave throw that palm ball change of his when he was with St. Louis?
Yes, he did throw it, but it wasn't quite as effective as it is now.
Justy at the belt, another look at Spire. Strike 1 pitch, a little high. 1-1. Of course, now the crowd is getting on the plate umpire for every pitch. 1-1. Kingman, long and rangy. He figures to have quite a career in this league. And he would also figure to be the heir apparent to Willie McCovey at first base. That's his regular position. Of course, he also pitched in college. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on a high pop fly on the left side. Hebner and Hernandez, somebody better direct traffic, and Hebner makes the catch. Justy went all the way over there, but he couldn't get there in time. But Hernandez peeled off and let Hebner have his play. But Dave was thinking.
A lot of times the pitcher he doesn't get over to help out with a ball that's hit in foul territory that goes up in the air, and that's really his job. There are certain occasions where no one else can get there, and with the third baseman and the catcher especially looking up in the air, there has to be someone there to help them.
And with a big crowd hollering, a lot of times they can't hear each other calling. Here's Henderson. Switch hitter batting left-handed. He has 1 hit in 4 trips. He takes a strike. 0-1. Henderson hit a couple of change-ups very hard. One for a base at the other he lined out. In fact, on the line drive in the third, that's probably the only bad pitch that Bruce Keeson made. That was that high change, and as Bob pointed out, you just don't see sidearm right-handers trying to change up on left-hand hitters, and he almost paid the price for it. But Henderson hit a shot right at Clemente. Strike 1 pitch to Ken. Ground up along first base. Right there to get it is Robertson. Steps on the bag. And now the Sands have almost run through the hourglass for San Francisco. No runs, no hits, an error, a man aboard. And at the end of 7.5 innings, Pirates 9, Giants 5.
Say, all of you guys and gals out there, the best way to enjoy a baseball broadcast is sitting in a comfortable recliner chair. Do you know who has one of New York's largest selections of recliners? It's Siemens Furniture, of course. At Siemens, you'll find recliners from America's finest manufacturers. You choose from rugged leather-like vinyls, rich fabrics, many Scotch-Guard treated to prevent soil, and even elegant velvets. You're sure to please the decorator in your home by selecting from Italian, Spanish Provincial, Mediterranean, and classic overstuffed traditional. After the game, visit one of Siemens Furniture showrooms in Brooklyn, in Queens, or Long Island. Call them, the number 493-6630 for the Siemens nearest you. That's 493-6630. Unicard, Bank AmeriCard, and MasterCharge accepted. At Siemens' low prices, you'll always be sitting pretty. On a recliner, of course.
Right now, we'll pause for station identification. This is the National League Championship Series.
This is Dialogue Radio 57, Strauss Communications, WMCA, New York, the voice of New York.
Bottom of the 8th inning, 9-5 Pittsburgh. The Pirates, in a 5-5 tie with the Giants, had Roberto Clemente single home the tiebreaker. And then Al Oliver hit a 3-run home run against relief pitcher Jerry Johnson, and that apparently has settled it. The Giants have 3 outs left. They will have Fuentes, Mays, and McCovey in the 9th. And right now, Don McMahon is taking his 8 warm-up tosses before going into the bottom of the 8th inning. For the Bucks, it'll be Cash, Hebner, and Clemente. 9 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors for the Pirates. 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Giants. And the attendance, 35,487. That's less than yesterday. They had 38 yesterday. We'd like to salute some more of our member stations along our network to KBYR in Anchorage, Alaska, KOGO, our friends in San Diego, WSCR in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Bottom of the 8th, and here's Dave Cash. Dave is 3 for 4, and just as important, has scored twice in his leadoff role. And the last time he scored in the 6th inning, it was the beginning of the end. It broke the tie. He grounds one right back at McMahon, who spears it nicely and throws him out. Fortunately, Don still has good reaction.
There's no way I would have caught that ball there. When my follow-through, I end up to the first base side of the bag, and that ball was hit right directly over the middle of the mound. I just wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah, you would have had to, at best, barehand it.
I've tried that before, too, and broke a finger.
Yeah, that's not... Drysdale, all during his career, used to stick his foot and leg in the way of balls. I used to just shake my head why he would try that. Hebner swings and misses. He was fortunate he got away without having one really raise a lump on him. What finger did you break?
It was a small finger on my right hand.
Strike 1 pitch to Hebner, fouled off, and the count 0-2. Do you remember who hit the ball?
No, I don't. It was down in Houston several years ago. I finished the ball game, and I went and had x-rays, and they found a little tear in there, but I just threw some tape on it and didn't miss a game.
You are a dandy anyway. If I remember correctly, when Clemente broke your leg, didn't you pitch to a couple of more hitters?
Yes, I pitched 2 more hitters. As a matter of fact, I loaded the bases, and then finally on a 3-2 pitch, I snapped the bone in half, and I fell down again.
Oh, nice. Richie Hebner takes high, 1-2. One away, bottom of the 8th inning. Pirates 9, Giants 5. Don McMahon finishing up. It's been Perry, Johnson, and McMahon. The pitch is pulled down to first base, knocked down by McCovey, feeds McMahon in time, and they get Hebner. So Richie had a double, a 3-run home run, lined out to right, hit the ball very hard for an out, and now grounds out to McCovey. And the batter will be Roberto Clemente. Clemente took all the pressure, really, off Al Oliver. I don't know, no one will ever know what Oliver would have done had the ball game been 5-5 when he came up there. But it was Clemente's pressure hit that made it 6-5. That lessened the burden for Oliver. That's really the key hit.
And a lot of times the pitcher will relax just a little bit too much. Perry walked Sarzo intentionally, and a lot of times you might say, well, I got rid of that guy, and you relax a little bit and you make a bad pitch to the next hitter.
2 down. Here's Clemente. He singled home 2 runs in the first inning, broke the tie with a base hit in the 6th. So Roberto has 2 hits and 3 RBIs and takes low, ball 1. Clemente has struck out twice. One of those 2 Ks, however, on an aborted hit-and-run play. The 1-0 pitch, low, ball 2, 2-0. 9 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors for the Pirates. 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Giants. The Pirates are 3 outs away from winning the National League pennant. The 2-0 pitch is fouled away down the right field line out of play. 2-1. The Cinderella stories are few and far between. The Pirates went into this thing pretty well favored as the team that was ready for it. Pitch on the hand, swung on and missed, 2-2. And the Giants, who had to fight everybody off right down to the nub to win by 1 game in the West, have apparently run out of gas now here in the 4th and apparently the last game of the series. Clemente takes low, ball 3. However, they have 1 shot left, and they go to the boys who can make some noise. Fuentes and Mays and McCovey and maybe Barnes. McMahon delivers, swung on and missed, and Clemente goes down on his knees. He swung so hard. He really gave them a shot that time. It might be his last swing of this series, and he was going down all guns blazing. The Pirates are gone in the 8th. At the end of 8, Pittsburgh 9 and the Giants 5.
Would you kiss me?
Never.
Why?
You smoke.
So?
Lips that touch cigarettes will never touch mine.
Do you find me offensive?
I could find you in the dark.
That bad, huh?
You have nicotine breath.
Perhaps if I took something, it would go away.
How about a bus?
If I quit smoking, then would you kiss me?
I might.
Then I shall.
Splendid.
1 week later.
I did it.
You what?
I quit smoking.
Just for me?
Just for you.
Then you may kiss me.
Thank you.
Well, which would you rather do? Smoke cigarettes or kiss me?
I'll tell you after 19 more times.
19 more times?
You see, I was smoking a pack a day when I quit.
Cigarette smoking is offensive to many people, but the one who suffers most is the smoker himself. Kick the habit. Join the unhooked generation. This reminder from your Tuberculosis and Respiratory Disease Association is a matter of life and death.
Ninth inning, 9-5 Pirates. Vin Scully, along with Bob Gibson, apparently drawing the National League Championship Series to a close. On the message board, they say happy birthday to Pittsburgh's Gene Klein, which reminds us that both managers are coming up to birthdays. Danny Murtaugh will celebrate his 54th birthday on Friday, the day before the World Series begins. Charlie Fox will celebrate his 50th birthday tomorrow. Justy delivers, 20's pops it in the air foul. Hebner comes through the coaching box at the box seat railing, tries to climb in, and he did. He got it. What a play. Richie Hebner, Jackie Hernandez, and Manny Sanguillen were all trying to climb the box seat railing. Hebner caught it, knocking Sanguillen down in the process. 1 out. What a play. Bob, before we come to the last out and wrap up the series, I certainly want to thank you so very much for being a tremendous part of the broadcast, and also, here's a pitch to Mays inside ball 1, and also congratulate you for doing a marvelous job, an exceptional job up here in the booth.
Thank you, Vince. I've really enjoyed it. Of course, being with you, you made it real easy for me, and I certainly hope that I'll get a chance to work with you again sometime.
I hope so. Particularly, I hope to have you work with me at least during the Dodgers series.
I know you don't.
To the mound goes Matty Sanguillen to talk to Dave Jesse. I know the hitters would love to have you work with me during those series.
Well, I haven't had that much success with the Dodgers over the years. They usually pitch a pretty good ball game, but they always end up beating me one way or another, and I hope that turns around.
Willie Mays standing at the plate. Sanguillen out to visit Jesse. 2-0 the count to Willie. And the other big Willie McCovey in the on-deck circle. 1 out, 9th inning, 9-5 Pittsburgh. Jesse delivers high. Mays dancing around to distract him. 3-0 the count. In the fired bullpen, right-handed Bob Miller, ex-Cardinal, ex-Dodger, ex-American Leaguer, along with left-hander Luke Walker. Here's a 3-0 pitch to Mays. And he walked him. Ball 4. So the last at-bat for Willie in the 9th inning is a walk, and now McCovey slowly walking up to the plate. Several times at Candlestick, Mays was walked, and McCovey came up. One time, Blast did it, and McCovey followed with a shot in the right field seat. Tremendous blast. So now he follows another walk to Mays with 1 out in the 9th. Justy delivers, and it's fouled away. 0-1. They have loaded up the right side. Jackie Hernandez almost directly behind second base. The outfield deep to right. They give McCovey just about all of left center. Stargell has to fight the sun in left field. It's still with us. Justy at the belt. Strike 1 pitch. McCovey strokes a high pitch foul down the right field line. Looked like he went after a ball somewhere up around the mouth at least. It was out of the strike zone, 0-2. And there goes Sanguillen out to the mound again. Well, it has indeed been a lot of fun for Bob and for myself to broadcast along with Monty Bancroft and our producer, Bob Wold. And we sure hope you have enjoyed this wild National League Championship Series that would be 2 outs away from its conclusion. McCovey waves and misses strike 3. And as McCovey, who has represented the Giants all year, goes back to the dugout, that just about sums up their situation. They have come up empty. 2 outs, and Bobby Bonds at the plate. Justy taking a breather. The big crowd starts to come down near the box seat railings. They want to run on the field. The Pirates are 1 out away. The pitch to the plate, a strike. 0-1. Now the kids have climbed atop the dugout roof, and they're asking them to get back into the stands. But this crowd, hard to be contained as Bond swings and misses strike 2. The Giants have had it. They are in their death throes here at Three Rivers Stadium right now. 2 down, 0-2 to Bonds. Mays forlorn at first base. Justy delivers outside and high, ball 1. 9-5 Pittsburgh. 9 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors. The Giants 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Dave Justy is trying to save it for Bruce Keeson. He'll be the winning pitcher. Will Keeson at 21. The losing pitcher will be Gaylord Perry. Time is called for a moment. 1-2 to Bobby Bonds. Dick Deets on deck. And Justy trying to end it right now. Dave at the belt, here he comes. Canes hit down to third. Hebner goes a long way to Robinson. That's it. The Pirates are the National League champions. We'll be back in 1 minute with the summary of today's game. Final score, Pirates 9, Giants 5.